Welcome to Grog Talk.
Welcome.
I'm James.
I'm Dan, and today we are broadcasting from the Theater of Mystic Celebration in the town of, how do you pronounce that?
Garreton or Garrotten?
Garrotten. See, I didn't even, I didn't even get the spelling right. And of course, our thanks to Val Morrow for hosting us.
Right, a very entertaining fellow.
Have you seen that Blink Dog Winky he has?
Yes, well, we were talking about Blink Dogs. They're cute little things, and they're lawful good, which is
nice. So you want to encounter a Blink Dog?
If you're lawful good.
Got it.
If you're not lawful good, then you have a problem. But yeah, we're really nice to be here, and we also have a guest who's off camera. Nico is our producer today, so he'll be on chat. So if you have some comments or questions, please, while you're discussing, if you see random topics or comments from Nico, hey, we got a few folks on now, so Nico, why don't you say hi to them? We got, oh, very good, thank you, appreciate it. All right, so we've got a number of things to go over. We need to announce our winner.
Winner of what, James?
Winner of our Grog Con contest. That's right, the 2019 Grog Con, where we had a contest to name the adventure that Carlos Lysing from Castle Entertainment is going to produce and run at Grog Con 2019.
And I think we need to give a lot of credit to Carlos, who was willing to accept a name. And we ended up giving him a few options. We could talk about that.
Right.
But he was willing to accept a name that he hadn't picked.
Right.
And to mold this adventure into the title. So a lot of points for that.
Yeah, so we had a number of submissions, and it was actually one of our folks who went to our GrogCon site and to our name our contest was the winner, if I'm correct.
And I'd like to say we got a lot more suggestions than I thought we would.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I really thought they were all great. I thought they were really good. I had a very hard time picking out ones that I liked.
We started to pick 3 each, and then we kind of went back and forth, and then we ended up with this one. So I want to announce that Gyato Lefavi, right, is the winner with the porcelain sword of Queen Slash.
Oh, and that's great, because I didn't even know who had, so when I saw the list, I had no idea who had made the submission. So I did not know that he was the winner. I knew that was the winning name. But
so Gaetano, right? Gaetano Lefavi, thank you very much. So the porcelain sword of Queen Eshala,
I would say.
Yeah,
Shala
is the winner. And actually, we're gonna, when we send this out on Twitter and put in the show notes, Carlos Lysing already has an introductory paragraph. So, and Gaetano, you're going to be quoted and sourced in the module, and you will get a free version of it. So, thank you very much.
Is it a porcelain sword though? That could be fragile, couldn't it?
Well, that's what's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this.
How you work that out?
Well, there's like you've heard of crystal sword and these type of things.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't. I have now.
The balsa wood, the crystal sword.
The balsa wood sword.
Yeah.
It's balsa, right? Not balsa wood.
Balsa wood, yeah.
But balsa wood sword. If you Googled balsa wood sword, do you think anything would come? You know what would come up? One of those sites where we have everything. You can buy a balsa wood. They'll just say it, balsa wood sword here.
I'm sure they have it, because isn't that what they use for LARPing?
Balsa wood for swords.
Yeah.
Oh, cosplay.
Yeah, for cosplay, for like LARPing and that kind of thing.
So Carlos Lysing should make a cosplay adventure.
Ooh, that would be it.
Cosplay theme.
We'd be happy if anyone showed up. We'll take, if there was actually a LARPing convention that broke out of our little thing, that would be awesome.
We should encourage cosplay at Grog Con.
Right. We should just encourage play. I'd like someone.
We should encourage people to come.
Right.
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Before we start doing subgroups.
But you could do that.
Okay. So yeah. So what's interesting about it, my sense is that this name and Queen Ashala was sort of picked.
Right.
There is no. So you're not familiar with a Queen Ashala
I'm not.
Okay, so that's what makes it great about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I don't suppose, and I know I was spring things on you at the last moment here.
No.
I don't know if you have any of the other ones that we really liked.
Nope.
I don't know, maybe if you're able to pull up the list at some point before we're done, I don't know, that would be great. But,
okay.
Because I'd like to mention some of give some honorable mentions, some
Well,
shout outs, because there's some really great ones.
And I think Carlos, we gave him a number of them.
Right.
Because we really couldn't get to the end result. We were like, these 5 or 6 are good, and he's actually going to use all of them in other adventures. So they're kind of honorable mention.
Exactly. So
all right,
we'll give some shout outs.
We'll have to figure that out. If not, I may have to do it on Twitter. Okay, so as we let's talk about Grog Con, October 11th through 13th at the Days Inn, brought to you by Wyndham. I think they're transitioning to that. Wyndham has bought the convention center and hotel. It's here in Orlando area in Kissimmee. We'd love for you to come. We'll be running games. Vic Dorso, and of course, we need his title, so I have to take that back. Excuse me, Nico.
Who's Vic Dorso?
I don't know who he is. Who is that guy?
The man formerly known as Vic Dorso.
Well, right. He was Vic Dorso. Now he has an official title and all these other things that we.
And we're expecting Vic Dorso to really help with recruiting in the Midwest. We made him. Did we put up the Big Sky region? The Big Sky
he's the North State.
Thank you. Because Big Sky. I think I said something Big Sky. That's more Montana, North Dakota. That's not going to be Minnesota. So we really help him to help with. We expect him to help with our recruiting.
Yeah.
In Minnesota.
Yeah. So Vic Dorso, who is the commander and most astonishing patron, Crown Prince, and honorable scourge of the North Star State, will be running his Blood Red. Keep It Bloodred Falls module. Carlos Lysing, the Chamberlain, his most renowned, illustriousness, Baron, irresistible emulator of Cleveland, will be running now the crystal sword, porcelain sword of Queen Ashala. I got crystal sword in the brain. He'll be running that. You and I are running the tournament, which we're working on. We're actually going to demo that July 27th here in Orlando at Sci-Fi City, which is going to be a live Grog Talk event. There's other Paranoia, Call of Cthulhu, Top Secret. There's all games that are probably coming on as well.
And Vic Dorso has posted on Facebook that he's hoping to have a 3D model of the Keep of Blood Red Falls.
Oh, wow.
That he will be showing for the first time at Grog Con.
Awesome.
That's the plan anyway.
Oh, that's super cool.
So hopefully he's able to do that.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of good things. You can go to Tabletop Events. If you go to grogcon.com, there's all the information there. Tickets are $35 for the whole weekend. I think it's $15 for one day. So it's very reasonable. Rooms are very reasonable. I just booked my room. Very reasonable there. So come on down. It will be a lot of fun. The event, because we're in the Crucible 8 tournament, we're part of Crucible 8. There's miniature wargaming, Warhammer 40K. There's board games. There's vendors. It's a whole big event. There's hundreds of people going to come. So it's not just role-playing. It's a great event. So we're looking forward to that.
Yep, and there's going to be a lot of 5th edition, too. So if you want to maybe... Sorry. Was that wrong?
No, it's not wrong.
I could tell.
No, it's okay.
Right.
It's just... I think it's... No, 5th edition's fine. I play 5th edition. Nico and I play 5th edition.
We have to be inclusive.
Right. Yeah, we're grognards, but we're friendly grognards. We're kind of like gnomes,
right?
Which is what we're going to talk about today.
Once we're successful enough with just old school, and we have enough people come just for that, then we can tell them, who cares about 5th edition?
That's right. Well, they can see the difference. It's like classic Coke versus new Coke.
Did you ever take the Pepsi challenge back in the day?
No, I didn't.
Never?
No, I did not take the Pepsi challenge.
Wow. I picked Pepsi.
Over Coke?
I think that's why they had new Coke, didn't they?
I think that they were trying to get that, and then of course New Coke is now it's a fad. I think it's come back. They had a special edition because of Stranger.
It was on Stranger Things. I saw that. And this was I saw this on. Did you see this on Stranger Things?
Oh, that would require me to have Netflix or something like that.
Oh, you haven't seen that? Yeah, no, it was in his little cabin. That
Someone took a picture of it, and so on Twitter.
And this is the Best of Dragon Volume 3 is what I'm holding. I forget, for our listeners.
Yes. Yeah, this is potentially radio. So
yes.
Funny you mentioned that. So where was that? I need to.
He probably just finished reading up on gnomes, I think, in that episode.
So someone did mention that. So what I've done is, let's see, I can't find it now, but one of the pictures I put up was us talking about it because someone was talking about Stranger Things, and in fact, someone was talking about Greyhawk, so I showed the picture of us discussing it on episode 17.
Very nice.
So there you go. That's how we roll here. All right. Enough jibber jabber about that. We did talk about the summer tournament. Again, we're going to be broadcasting live from Sci-Fi City for our tournament module that we made just for this event. It's a play test, and then which we're going to run at Grog Con.
And I think we're in the corner, aren't we, next to the bathrooms?
That's right.
Is that what
we're behind the discounted merchandise there. The Sci-Fi City is an interesting place. It's an old, it has that old school hobby game store. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to actually be in the front. At least that's when we talked to the purveyor. What was the gentleman's name? Troy, yes. So Troy, he said we could set up right in the front. We're going to do a grog talk there at from like 10:30 to 12. Then we're going to break it down. We're going to start at 1:30, I think is what we had set. It's going to be a 4-hour adventure. We still have some seats available. So if you want to come and play in the tournament, Dan and I will be running it. And there's actually it has a competitive aspect. There's 2 groups going in. As one group gets things, the other group can't get it. And the winner will win the prize and the glory that comes with this.
I like how you don't identify what that prize is. The quote prize.
The prize is subject to our prerogative and what Amazon can get to us by the time.
In our sole discretion.
That's right, exactly. So that's a lot. Now I want to thank our patrons and reviews on iTunes. I want to let our patrons know, again, we have a Patreon account. If you want to support this shenanigans, we would love that. We have various tiers. I'm going to have a special video upcoming about how we've created this summer module, so you can get some insight on the insanity. Yes,
the making of.
That's right. Okay. This is what people want from Patreon. They don't want this polished showbiz. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see the craziness that comes involved.
That's why you were videotaping me the other day at my house.
That's why I installed cameras all over your house.
I can explain.
That's right. I haven't
it wasn't what you thought.
I haven't seen all the videos yet.
You fast forward over some parts.
It's best.
That was wise.
That's right. I usually between 10 and 6 in the morning. So as long as all your shenanigans between that time, you're fine.
Cameras are off. Yeah.
So we have a special video that's coming up, and if you are a patron, one of the things you get even at the bronze tier, which is a $1 thing, is you get, if you'd like to, a title as part of the Grog Empire. So we have to bestow a title today to one of our patrons.
Oh, I love this part.
Right.
That's
so
my favorite part. That's why you had Volume 5 out.
That's right. We have Volume 5 out. Where's your 30-sided dice?
Oh, I have a 30-sided.
Yeah, we need that 30-sided dice because I figured out a way not to use the random generator now.
Okay. Yeah.
So we are now going to bestow to Clay Gainey, who is one of our newest patrons, his title because, well, he deserves it. And he has claimed, we're actually very fortunate to be him part of the Empire, because he has claimed Lake City, Florida. And for those who know Lake City, Florida, it is north of here. So he's actually defending the Grog Empire. He's the defender of the Grog Empire, protector of the heart of it. So we are very...
It's like the Rubicon?
Basically, right. It is
Barbarians?
Istanbul or something like that.
Barbarians like Vic Dorso from the north?
That's right. They will have to go past him. So we're very fortunate.
So basically what you're doing is you're trying to set him up to be like the ticket guy at Grog Con at the front.
Clay doesn't know this yet, but...
we make it sound awesome. He checks in people.
That's right. Do I get to play? No, you still have to check people in. So.
But I've been here for 2 days.
Exactly. All right. So we are ready.
So you're going to handle that side of it.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll roll dice. You want to roll? You like rolling dice? Go roll dice. That's good. So,
okay, you tell me
we're going to divide this by 2, right? We figured out that this is a D15.
Right.
So we're going to do that. I don't know what that is.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's right in the middle.
Of 3.
He could be whatever he wants.
Is that it? 10.
10.
So that'll be a 5.
Right. 2, 4, 5. He's a viceroy. Very good.
Do we have a viceroy?
No, we do not have a viceroy.
That's what Thane Thompson wanted to be.
He wanted to be a viceroy. Hold on. So, Nico, can you write this down? The viceroy. No, now you have to do 1, 2. You have to do D10.
Oh, D10.
So, the viceroy. You can type it right in the chat room.
Oh, okay. Which one's the D10?
That's a D10, yeah.
The 10 and the 8 also. 6.
6. The viceroy. V-I-C-E-R-O-Y.
V-I-C what?
V-I-C-E-R-O-Y. The viceroy most. Type most now. And now you're doing a D30.
Okay. So that would be 21.
No, it's still 21 because there's 30
21.
of these. That's
30,
right.
yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Radiant.
Ah.
Most radiant.
Ah, I can't wait to meet this guy.
Now another D30.
28.
28. Almightiness.
Ah.
Wow. All right, this one we're going to divide by 2.
He's the perfect guy to guard the realm. 17 divided by 2
is 9, right?
Yes.
2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Viscount. He's a viceroy and viscount. Hold on. Viscount. Viscount. Now you're going to roll a d6 and a d. See, with this, because we have 60 of them, we'll do a d30 and a d6, and we can just.
Got it. Right. I'm with you. I'm with you. So 4. So we're on the far end.
Okay.
It's a 7. So that would be a 4 on the far end.
Yep. 2, 4, 6.
Oh wait, no, it's a 7. You say you have 30 on the other side.
Right. 37.
Oh,
so it's technically 37. Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6. Mysterious. 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 And then now D30.
Another 17, another 9. Oh no, that's right, 17. It's not dividing.
Lord of Lake City.
I love it.
How's that? So enter.
Well, I'll tell you when I hear the whole thing together.
I know we have to enter it all together. Okay, I'm going to steal that for just a second. Mm-hmm. Oh, we got. Look at that.
Well, from Sweden.
From Sweden.
Wow, we haven't given Sweden a lot of love. I thought Sweden had forgotten about us.
You know, we forgot about Sweden. How dare we?
You know, so you don't know the ranking currently.
No, we need to do that. So thank you, Cyber Heston. We are working on the Swedish challenge, which we haven't talked about in a while, and I apologize.
Oh, he needs to give us some money because we
No,
need.
no,
he does.
He doesn't need to give us money.
No,
he needs to just promote us so that we get to the top 10, and then we'll go to Sweden.
But don't we need somebody protecting the Grog realm in Sweden?
Well, that's true. If he becomes a patron, he could be. Okay,
right.
I think that was a little direct, saying "give me money." The thing was, if you become a patron, we would bequeath Sweden to you if he was the first person.
That sounds better.
Yes, that would be much better.
That's what I meant.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Good early afternoon, and good evening to our other dear friend.
Way to be.
Dear friend, the Chamberlain, His August Potency, Archduke, the Shrewd Guardian of Australia. David Thompson is online too. Okay, so we are now ready to give. That's right, way to be subtle. So now we are ready to give Clay Gainey his title. He is the Viceroy, most radiant,
Almightiness, Viscount Mysterious, Lord
of Lake City. Congratulations, Clay. You have earned this title, and you are now the guardian of you. It's kind of like they are the. Oh, he's got some advice. Would be to. Yeah, I don't know what it'd be like. Would it be like
your ranking in Sweden? Would be the we're getting advice on how to crack into the Swedish market. Yeah. Well, he knows Sweden. Well, assuming. You know, for all we know, this guy lives in Ocala, Florida. But assuming he is, in fact, from Sweden, he would obviously have insight in how to crack into Sweden.
Oh, do episode on doors? Well, sir, we have, but maybe we need a second
Well, it wasn't
part.
A whole episode.
That's true. We haven't done a whole episode. Very good. Okay, do an episode
Sweden?
on doors.
Okay, because this sounds like good advice.
Right.
I think we should follow this.
Right.
Do an entire episode on doors.
2.5 hours on doors. People would love it. Okay. We're going to, well, while we do that, we're going to keep moving forward because we're going to do iTunes reviews, and then Nico will tell us what the advice is. Okay. So again, thank you, Clay, for being that. We do have to remind people of the Swedish challenge, which is we were at one point the top 10 gaming other gaming podcast on iTunes.
But that was a preseason ranking, wasn't it?
There was a day that we were while we were broadcasting. It was in March.
Oh, okay.
And then fell precipitously down to where we are
immediately.
Today. Yeah, it was like the next day.
You know what's scary about that is what that must. Well, not scary is not the right word. But what's interesting about that must mean that you don't need a lot of listeners to crack the top 10 in Sweden. Then if you just lose a couple, you immediately plummet to 300.
It could be. I'm not sure. That's one way to look at it. I look at it as we were so impactful that one day that everyone came and did it, and then they got busy and they
so
just
you
had
mean people like one guy was listening to it and he immediately started like texting his friends, being like, "You guys got to start listening to this.
Right.
These guys are incredible."
And then maybe he got indicted on something, so they couldn't listen to it anymore. So it just fell off. That's what I'm thinking. We just need another champion.
His
phone
in Sweden was confiscated,
and maybe this is maybe our dear friend on chat will be the new champion of GROGTALK there. Anyway, so Swedish challenge. If we get to the top 10, we've said we would do a tour of Sweden, and all our dear friends would go out there and see us.
How are we going to pay for that?
I don't know. We'll worry about it later. But if we're the top 10 of anything,
and you're saying that guy was probably indicted. We're going to be indicted
by our spouses. But hey, I'm sure we'll hit the top 10 sometime in like January. So it'll be January in Sweden. I'm sure it's a wonderful time. It's like the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah.
There's like 3 hours of sunlight, which is why we're ignorant. We need to go. That'll be great. Anyway, the last thing we need to do before we get into the meat of it is we've had a number of iTunes reviews, which we thank you. If you are listening to us on iTunes, please... Unfortunately, the way this works is the more you do give reviews, the more other people can hear it, the more nonsense which that can be spread throughout the world, which is always a fun thing. So starting from oldest to newest, Pious Agnostic said, recently subscribed, enjoying listening. James and Dan sound like a couple of guys who'd be fun to game with. I think we're fun to game with, so thank you. Their positive and refreshing opinions on gnomes are refreshing in the current harsh anti-gnome political climate. Well, I think he means Dan there. And in fact, that's why I put this one, because we are going to talk about gnomes.
Right, I mean, and I'm not the anti-gnome climate. I'm the positive and refreshing opinion on gnomes.
Right. That's right. And he's holding up a cup for those who are podcasting. I Love Gnomes cup, which...
It's a mug.
Oh, it's a mug. It's a cup.
Is a mug a type of cup?
I believe so.
It's a broader,
cup is more generic.
Broader category.
Yes. So thank you, Pious Agnostic. And then Clay G1 said, a great podcast, which I assume is our patron. Great podcast for AD&D 1E hardliners. We're hardliners. I love it. And new players that are interested in how the game was intended to be played in the early years. Alike. James and Dan's upbeat personality. We're upbeat and we're personable. I think that's awesome. Keep it interesting and lighthearted while staying on topic. Well, and covering the game in depth. Thank you, sir. And our latest one is from Percy, Anna, Beth, Nico, Hazel, Jason. So he has a Nico.
Wait, there's a Nico in? Oh, I'm suspicious.
That's right.
There's a Nico in there.
That's right. It could be. That's right. Follow Percy, Anna. So follow GROGTALK looking for AD&D podcasts and love every minute of the first 3 episodes. And binging them now to catch up and trying to find a way to get to Florida for Grog Con. Dan and James do a great job explaining the field tone and ethos of 1E. I don't know if Nico knows the word ethos. He may. I don't see him dropping that recently.
But that's why he put it in there to put us off the track or whatever.
Right. Makes me feel like I'm back in 1901 playing the best edition of D&D. I play 5e now with some younger players, but I'm excited to start a new 1e game again as soon as I can. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. That's awesome. So
thank you.
Please, if you like this shenanigans, go on YouTube, subscribe if you're listening that way. If you are using our podcast, we're on all the platforms, and Apple is the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to podcasts. So if you put the 5-star review, more people hear this, and we appreciate that.
Why didn't you read the negative ones? No.
We didn't get one.
Don't tempt them. Don't tempt them.
Put a negative one.
Don't say that.
Exactly. Okay. So that is that. Now I think we're ready to start our shenanigans. We're ready to start our random encounter.
Oh, I love this part too.
Yes, you do love random encounter.
I do love random encounters. All right. Shall you do the rolling? I will.
Here you go. You got that. You can drive the ship. Yes, we're ready. Tell me what I got to roll.
Bumper? Where's the bumper?
I put it on there.
I talked over the bumper then.
Yeah, we both did. It's okay. It's no big deal. They'll get over it. I have to roll a d10?
You roll a d10 to find out where we are encountering.
4.
Oh, you know it's.
We're in a dungeon, right?
We're in a dungeon.
We're never leaving the dungeon.
We can't get out of this dungeon. Yeah, we're in the dungeon. Okay, give me a D10 monster level. D10.
Oh, monster level. That's right. 8.
Oh my!
Oh, this one's a big one.
This is gonna be scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we need our
D12 and D8. Okay. I've got a 9, and I've got a 1, so it's 10.
I need you to roll a D4.
A D4.
This is not going to be good. We're not getting out of here alive.
2.
A 14-headed Hydra.
14-headed Hydra. Type that in. A 14-headed. Oh, jeez. That's
14-head. Can the 2-headed troll?
I didn't know there was a 14-headed Hydra. I've never heard.
It's a 13 to 16 head. Let me read that again. Have I messed something up?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Don't Hydras have a set number of heads?
I didn't think they went over 12, but maybe.
Cyber Heston writes in
13 to 16.
an episode fully concerned with examining the different factions / schools of thought abound on forums such as Dragonfoot and knights and knaves.
Oh, okay.
Regarding how to interpret initiative in the DMG.
Ah, great. So go over all the theories of initiative from all the groups, correct? Is that what he's asking? Okay, we could do that. Thank you very much.
Good ideas.
So,
It's so small. As we get
Hydra,
older...
that's right, 13 to 16 heads.
Okay, so that's the first issue. What's going on with that?
Well, because Hydra here, it says 5 to 12 if you get the monster manual. You don't have a monster manual?
What?
Leave it on the bottom.
Thank you. I was going to say, that's not possible.
If you didn't bring a monster manual, then something's wrong.
It's like a cop without a gun.
It's on page 53. So we have so this is interesting. In Monster Manual 2, in the random monster creator, it said for you to roll a 14 to 16 Hydra. But
13, right?
13 to 16.
13 to 16.
This says they can only go to 5 to 12. That's how many heads it has.
Oh. Is this, what is happening? Well,
there you go.
Is this because it's in the Monster Manual 2?
Yeah, they've done something.
What's happened there? Is there another Hydra designation that doesn't have that?
Is there a giant Hydra?
Oh, look. A pyre, 12 heads.
Well, that's Pyro, but you did this one. Hydra, 13 to 16 heads. You're right. One encountered.
How is that possible? Wait, how is that possible? Is there another Hydra entry?
I'm not aware of it. That's what I said. Is there a giant Hydra? I don't think so.
Right? Yeah.
So maybe for our dear listeners who are playing along, go back to the page of Monster Manual 2 that you found that on.
Yeah.
And let people see that. Okay, we're going to move forward. We have a really big Hydra. 13-headed Hydra, we said?
14. You roll a 2?
14. Yeah, 14-headed Hydra.
Yeah. It's so it is on...
Page. What's that?
Page 134.
134.
Of
Monster Manual 2.
The book that is sometimes named.
That's right.
Monster Manual 2.
Yeah.
Named with hesitation.
So on page 53 of the Monster Manual, the true Monster Manual, it says Hydras can only be, will have 5 to 12 heads, but now the other one, Monster Manual 2, says to build even a larger monster.
Okay, this
Hydra.
is what's scary for me right off the bat, the Hydra. What's its frequency?
I didn't look yet. I'm going to say uncommon.
Uncommon. That seems to me more common than I'm comfortable with.
You would think it'd be rare.
Hobgoblins on the other page are also uncommon. So you telling me my odds of encountering a hobgoblin
20% chance in a region. So
20% chance. So
1 in 5 refers to the likelihood of a particular creature being encountered in a region or area where it might be an inhabitant. So I guess what you have to say is where is it likely to be found? So where does it say?
Marshes, swamps,
and similar places,
as well as subterranean layer.
Right. So if you're in a marsh or a swamp, you have a 1 in 5 chance to run into a Hydra. That's just, if you get a random encounter.
More good information to use as a DM.
Right.
Put in more swamps.
Right. Oh, this is our 4th encounter. Probably going to hit a Hydra, or 5th encounter.
Well, you could. If you go straight, you're going to go through a swamp. You could cut around the swamp, but it's going to take 2 weeks.
Right. Well, I'll take my chances.
What could happen in the swamp?
You could get 1 in 5 chance of a Hydra. So
I didn't know Hydras were swamp-based and marshy-based.
Well, I think they're kind of like the black dragon of things there. But
they're neutral, which is interesting.
They are.
Did you know that there are, you probably did, there's no neutral dragons, I believe, in the Monster Manual, right?
In the Monster Manual,
I know they came late, Dragon Magazine had some. Okay, so...
have you ever run a Hydra?
No, I've never encountered, to my knowledge, I've never encountered a Hydra. Okay. I've never run a Hydra. Have you?
Yes, I have. So there are 3 types of Hydras.
Okay.
So there's the basic Hydra, the Hydra that we think about, the normal one, which has 5 to 12 heads, and you roll an 8-sided to determine the number, which again, that's what we would normally do. But again, in Monster Manual 2, they've now changed it to 13 to 16. So this thing's a giant Hydra.
Yeah.
And each one has each head has 1 hit die and 8 full hit points. So you don't have to calculate its hit points. Basically, if it has 5 heads, it has 40 hit points. And then each head has 8 hit points.
Got it.
And when all the Hydra heads are killed, the body dies, but not until each and every head is killed. The Hydra attacks according to the number of heads it has, each head being considered as a hit die. Thus, the Hydra of 7-head attacks is a monster of 7 hit dice. And it's possible for the Hydra to attack several opponents at once. So at up to 4 on the same target. So you fight a 10 hit dice, something that has 10 heads. It's a 10 hit dice Hydra, and 4 of them can attack one person at 10 hit dice. That's pretty good. And then based on its size is how much damage it does. So if it had 10 heads, it would be doing 1 to 8 points of damage.
That's quite serious.
Right.
And it's semi-intelligent. So is it going to flee? I mean, we're talking about cutting off all its heads, but if it's down to 1 head,
You would think so.
is that head going to be like, I'm out of here? Does the head regenerate?
Well, oh, that's funny you mentioned that, because that's the next kind of, that's called the Lernean Hydra.
Oh, so if you're not a Lernean Hydra...
Yeah, you kill all 10, they're dead.
Well, wait, but let's say that you kill, half the heads. Right. Or let's say there's 1 head left. Number one, with a 2 to 4 intelligence, because semi is 2 to 4.
Yeah.
Do you realize, so if you roll as a player character, I was thinking about this, because you are right that you say 8 to 10 is average, which I think is a little odd for intelligence, because I thought it was based on IQ, and I don't know that an 80 is average, but whatever.
But it is basic equivalent of human intelligence. So 10 would be average, right? Average
right,
is
well,
10.
8 to 10, yeah, it says 8 to 10
yeah.
as the range. But so if you're 2 to 4, semi-intelligent, and you're down to 1 head, are you going to make a morale check for a Hydra at some point?
No, I wouldn't make a morale check. I would say, however, if it was scared and it wasn't cornered, I would definitely think about it leaving. Why would it? If it thought it was, it's kind of like a dog or something like that. A dog's not just going to...
If you cut the dog's head off...
That's right. Then it's not going to do much.
It's going to run away.
It's going to fail. It's going to fail its morale check. It's going to run away by spinning around. Exactly.
So what happens if you... So let's say you're a Hydra with 1 head left.
Right.
What happens? I mean, aren't you bleeding? Do you have to cauterize
I don't know about
the
that.
other wounds?
Well,
when you bleed out?
Well, we don't do that in AD&D. We don't have bleeding things unless there's a special attack that causes drainage of, like the Sturge keeps sucking blood out. We don't have that. If you get hit for 5 points, we don't determine its cutting damage, which then causes, continued wounds. Although a sort of wounding would be something that would do that.
I just think once the Hydra's lost a lot of heads.
Well, we don't know you don't know if you do damage, you actually cut the head off. That's really DM prerogative.
Oh, that's a good point.
If you hit him with a mace, the head wouldn't necessarily, unless you decapitate it with a baseball swing.
Oh, well, it's interesting, but it says each head has full 8 hit points, so it's almost suggesting that is odd though. So what if you hit it in the body?
It doesn't do anything, basically.
It doesn't do any damage.
Right. You're technically hitting. The idea is you're fighting the heads.
Okay.
So the idea now, I guess you could try to back. The question is, what happens if you backstab? What happens if a thief backstabs a Hydra? That's a good question for our friends on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have to backstab the head?
Right. The idea is
in the back of that neck.
Well, there's multiple necks, like where they come together.
And is a neck a back?
Well, it has a back, clearly.
Right, and the neck's not a back.
No.
A neck's a neck.
Neck is a neck.
Right.
It gets near the back. I mean, we're no doctors here, so anyone who wants to chime in on that. But, Nico, what do you think about that? If you
we need a vet. Why doc? We need a vet. We need to call in.
We need a vet to call, exactly. And some anatomists.
Yeah, let's give this one to Nico.
Nico, what?
I'm starting to like Nico's role here. It's perfect.
So if you backstab it looks like that all the hit points are in the heads. That's kind of the idea. But if you backstab a Hydra, what happens? All right, this is compelling. You think about that and let's see what the chat says. So, all right, we're going to move on. So,
and how much damage does a Hydra do with 13 or more heads? Because it's based on up to 12 heads.
Well, I would say D12 at that point. I would go 13 heads as a D12.
Right.
So if it was a 13 to 16 head Hydra, it could do 4 attacks on you, 13 hit dice at 1 to 12. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyway. So then you have the Hydra that I think was in the Sinbad or one of those movies, either Sinbad or I forgot, one of those, with the Leresian or Lernean Hydra, which is indistinguishable from normal Hydra until it's attacked. Every time one of its heads of these is cut off or killed, it grows 2 new ones in 1 to 4 melee rounds unless fire is applied to the dead member or neck stump. So this thing could become... A 5-headed could grow into 12-headed in a single combat, gaining the appropriate hit dice and attack.
Okay.
So those are nasty.
Yes, they're like the trolls of Hydra.
Right, they're the trolls and they get more powerful. Trolls, at least, they don't get more powerful.
Right.
And the last one is a pyrohydra. They also appear similar, although their coloration may be more red. They don't usually have more than 7 heads, but they're able to breathe twice per day, each head. and they shoot a cone and cause 8 points of damage. And here's a fun fact that I like to do. If because there's a saving throw, if they fail their saving throw, I would make the characters roll for their magic items under magical fire, which of course they love doing. You want to say something that says fun role-playing, rolling for your magic items, which we've talked about in a number of episodes.
Yeah. So with it, and sorry, can I go back to the Lernaean Hydra for a second? So you've got to, once the head is gone,
like a troll, you got to burn
you
it.
now have, and I assume you need it to hit roll with, say, a torch or something. So let's say it's got a bunch of heads.
Well, the head is
knock off a head.
The head is down. Now there's either a stump or the head is on the ground. You then have to apply fire to it.
To the stump.
Right.
But so if this thing has got a bunch of other heads, it's moving.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so you've got a torch, and you've got to probably do it to hit roll with a torch.
I would say so. I would say I don't think the creature's just going to sit there, right? That's
what the thief can do. Can climb up the back.
Right.
And then go up the...
Yeah, when I think brave, I think thieves who are climbing on backs and going there with their torch.
Does the neck, when you cut off the head, does the neck just sort of slump down? So at a certain point, does the weight start to hurt, Or is the neck writhing around?
Well, I don't know. That's good. I would think like a chicken, it would just be flopping around
and
for a while.
Wouldn't blood be flying everywhere?
Well, in this case, that would be a clue you could give your people. If there wasn't blood spewing out of it, again, you're very obsessed with lopping off heads. You need to play again or something. You're like a Conan kind of character. But yes, I would say if it was a Lernaean Hydra, that it would definitely, that would be one of the clues, is maybe it was spewing blood, but then after a minute stopped spewing blood, so they would get some idea of, oh, this creature is one that is regenerating. Well, what's your thoughts, Nico, now that you've given us a couple of seconds?
Maybe they're like lizards, they drop their heads.
Okay, when they fell off?
David Thompson writes in, I've always treated the Hydra like multiple people. 2 heads down out of 5 is different to 2 out of 10. Yes, backstab works.
There you go.
CASL Entertainment writes, backstabbing a creature with nearly 360-degree vision would be problematic.
Okay.
I also read, it says, each head has 1 hit dice full of 8 hit points. When when all the Hydra's heads are killed, the body dies, but not until each and every head is killed. So I guess you could do damage, but it can't die until all the heads are killed.
I guess if I was going to do it on the just spur of the moment, I don't know if this is right, I would say if they backstab and the thief did 10 hit points of damage, I would divide it between the heads that were around still.
That makes sense.
So basically wound all of them.
Right.
So the question is, let's say he did, like we have one of our thieves who always seems to get quadruple damage every time he attacks. And he did like 50 points of damage. Would it be able to take all the heads out? And I would say no at that point. I say would still have 1 hit point each.
And that would just, because I don't know. I had this image of cutting off a head.
Right.
You backstab and the heads, they all go to sleep, or they all just
just lay down, and then you cut them off.
So the takeaway is, I'm not putting a Hydra in any adventure I run because I don't need to have a debate. Exactly.
Well, there's a bunch of these, and this is, I think a lot of monsters like this, where you get the idea of them, but if you really don't think them out, and you have players who are going to be really, I don't want to say adversarial, but they're going to fight for their characters, they're going to work the refs. This is one of them that can be problematic, like the Sturge. Green slime, there, you get the idea. The green slime falls on you, but then there's some vagueness with how it works, and so people will work the refs on, was it 1 to 4 rounds if it falls on someone's armor? What does it, these kind of things.
Oh yeah, the corroding rolls. I don't like to deal with. What's the controversy with Sturges?
Well, if they're on you,
yeah,
can you hit them directly? If you attack someone, do you hit them, the person? And
what I
Sturge?
do is, so I've had, because I think I had giant bats and had latched on, and I just did. I did a percentage chance that you're going to hit yourself. I mean, if you're whacking,
right. So
if there's a Sturge attached to you, and you're on your back, let's say,
I agree.
And there's going to be a percentage chance.
I agree, but then there's like, well, how much percentage? That doesn't seem fair.
Pick a number.
Exactly. You're just making stuff up, and that's what people don't like.
That's what I like.
Well, then
because it keeps things moving. It's more entertaining.
What is this, 5th edition now?
People are turning pages. Yeah, I think that's probably more basic D&D, right? I mean, that's true old school, is you just pick a number.
I agree. I don't have a problem with it, but this is where if you're not prepared, you're going to get people to do it. Now, what's interesting is like any of these flying creatures, why are we not using the flying rules for them? Even for Sturges, right? It's interesting. They don't have a rating class for them.
Is that not flying on flying combat? Those rules?
No. Some of it you have to use because because if a bird comes in, it doesn't just turn around and attack. It has to come and turn around and
like a biplane,
right?
World War
strafes
I.
in, right?
Come around and come back. They're coming back.
Right.
Here they come.
Well, they have it for harpies, and sometimes these rooms are not very. They don't make a lot of sense. Like the room's 20 by 20, and they've got this giant harpy who's attacking, flying down and attacking you. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Don't you love it when you're when you're DMing and a player all of a sudden pulls out a book, like the DM starts looking up something.
We've
like,
talked about
what's
this.
Going
you can't,
on?
You can't
what are you
do that.
looking up?
Page 8. Show them page 8.
They're supposed to die a grisly death or something.
Yes.
Like that? Okay.
Page 2.
The death comment.
That's right. They're not allowed to look at that.
So the Pyro Hydra.
Yes.
Nice name. I get it now.
Got it.
So it doesn't regenerate. It just breathes fire.
That's right.
Okay.
And for those who play in my game, one of these may be encountered soon. Spoiler.
Oh, great. Have fun adjudicating that. You can report back.
They may run into one.
Oh, they don't fly. Hydras don't fly?
No, they don't fly.
Oh, so that's good news. So it is a little bit hard. What's its movement?
9.
Oh. I just had this image of a Hydra running away.
Slowly.
Well,
like
someone not bad.
In banded. It's like in banded armor. What's his armor class?
AC is 5.
Yeah, well. So this is a beatdown thing. This is something that you beat down.
What's interesting is they're neutral. So Hydras are not necessarily going to...
No, they're like guardians of things. That's typically what
Okay. So you're walking through a marsh and you see a Hydra.
Yeah, you don't have to immediately go after it.
You really shouldn't parlay because it's a 2 to 4 intelligence.
Right, there's no parlaying.
Right, it's not going to work very well. But it's not necessarily going to... If it's hungry... But so you don't need to pick a fight with a Hydra.
You shouldn't have to attack everyone. That is one of the things that players like to. If it's breathing and it's not clearly an NPC that we shouldn't kill, they want to murder it.
Okay, so there's some good news and bad news. The bad news is they're uncommon, which is actually fairly common.
Right.
So be careful in marshes. The good news is they're neutral.
Right.
And
they're large. You could probably avoid them.
Right. They're probably not. Okay. They're not necessarily going to attack you. Okay, that's interesting.
Right.
I've learned a lot.
All right. Well, very good. Go ahead. Any more comments?
Right. And the Lernaean Hydra is the big bad. You don't really use them as throwaway monsters.
Ah, okay.
And CASL Entertainment says, I think this is where the notion of hit points reflecting more than just life is important. It also reflects fatigue, armor, etc. That changes the approach dramatically.
All right. Well, great. So, and of course, Castle Entertainment is the Chamberlain, his most renowned, illustrious Baron, irresistible emulator of Cleveland. That's for your benefit.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right.
We're going to have to execute Nico.
He'll be summarily. Put in your comments how many times will Nico be murdered for inappropriate.
I'm going to roll it to hit on Nico. All right. Let me see how I do.
You miss.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nico. That's an 18.
18. Ooh, that's a good hit.
What would I be, like a first level gnome illusionist?
No.
It's probably a miss.
No, it's probably a miss.
I missed.
You missed. All right. Now we have random spell selection, which is your other favorite thing.
I do like that.
So we have to figure. Well, I already know this. Let's figure out what type of spell it is. So
okay, right. So what do we
roll percentages?
Right. Okay, rolling percentages.
This will determine whether it's a magic user or clerics.
It's like finding a scroll, basically.
Right. What'd you roll?
I rolled an 84.
Oh yeah, it's another clerical spell. Now we have to determine if it's druidical or not. Let's see if we get the druid again. If it's high, what'd you roll?
21.
21. Well, we said last time 20 was druid, so it's a druid spell again.
It's another druid spell.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw. What was that spell we did last time?
Anti-plant shell.
Anti-plant shell. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to find it now. I found early... Why am I in the deities and demigods? There was another potential monster, I think.
For Monsters of the Cloth?
Yes. Meaning that...
Oh, anti-plant...
The plant one.
Okay.
The plant one. I don't know. I can try to find it. I was flipping through. I probably should have done
You went through the monster manual too? What was wrong?
Well, you're forcing me to work on this adventure.
Work on this adventure, that's right.
I got to tell you, I get a new appreciation for the Fiend Folio and the Monster Manual too.
Okay.
As a result of having to find interesting... If you want interesting monsters, right?
We'll have our researcher look it up. Is it somewhere it says anti-plant shell in one of the mods things?
What's this thing, maybe?
The algoid, yes.
It's made out of algae or something?
Yes.
So would that work?
Of course.
So there's another one.
Right. They have 5 hit dice monster. Absolutely.
Okay, that's all.
Algoid has control over certain types of trees And clearly, that would be the anti-plant shell. You're still I know you're trying to rehabilitate something that's horrible. Okay.
No, I'm learning.
Yeah. So D8 for Druid spell.
All right, D8 for the Druid spell. That is a 8.
You can't reroll.
There's only 7 levels. Gotcha. 6. Oh, 6 level.
Okay.
And
now
then
roll
a
a D10.
Okay. A 1. Animal summoning 3.
Animal summoning 3. That is put that down. Animal
but I
summoning
haven't
3
mastered. I haven't taken the prereqs.
No.
I don't know anything about animal summoning 1 or 2. Is that a problem? Can I go right to 3?
Well, I think if you're a druid and you're friendly with animals, you could do that. It's right there.
Okay, animal summoning 3. It's level 6. Its range 80 feet per level. Well, if you're outside, probably though, right? That would be what?
80 yards.
80 yards.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. So if I'm on the goal line, and the animal's on the 20-yard line on the other side.
Well, it's not. I mean, you summon them. That's as far as you can have it launched.
Right. That's my range. 8 segments, so they can't wander off. The spell is the same in duration, so it's better. It's up to 4 animals of no more than 16 hit dice. So you're summoning more.
Right.
Right. And more hit
so
dice.
Go to animal summoning, whatever it is.
All right.
So I think it's in the back of the Dungeon Master's guide. At least for monster summoning, it is. Appendix M.
What?
L.
Appendix L for conjured animals.
Right. So there you go.
No, I don't know. You got to explain that to me.
So
what's happening?
On page 2.
So on page 222 and 223, if someone casts either monster summoning, in this case animal summoning, you do conjured animals in the Dungeon Master's guide.
Okay. What page? All right. I got to get the DMG. What page are we on?
222.
Well, there's so many. Well, I was looking it up in the player's handbook.
Right.
I just take...
So what happens is, if you are the DM and the person memorizes, like our magic users have monster summoning, they cast monster summoning. There's a certain amount of time. Depending on what level monster summoning, you roll on a chart to figure out what monsters come and how many of them. So typically the spell says how many of the creature. You, the Dungeon Master, determine what monsters come. And that's what the fun of this is. You may get anywhere from giant rats or a demon.
Wait, so animal summoning. Okay, wait, but that's for... Wait, a demon? Is this for animal summoning?
No, that's monster summoning.
Okay, so how does that...
Because no one runs animal summoning. No one cares about animal summoning. No one does that.
Okay.
If I had a 6-level spell, I'm not learning animal summoning. 3.
But Appendix L. So Appendix L is
for conjured animals, right?
And so conjured is the same as summoned?
Yes.
Why does it say conjured?
Well, that's the only way you're going to figure it out. Unless it says here...
Is there an animal conjuring spell?
No.
Because to conjure, is it summon to have someone come to you? To conjure is to make materialize?
When a conjuring clerk states the number of hit dice of the animal he would want to summon.
Oh, okay.
I think they're synonymous words.
Yeah, well, clearly. Okay.
And so here, animal summoning. I've stolen your book.
I think
No, I'm looking at the first verse, because this is Animal Summoning 3. Because you didn't take the prerequisites.
No, I understand.
You've got to go back to Animal Summoning 1.
I agree.
By the nature of the spell, Druid caused 8 animals of whatever sort the Druid names when the summoning is made. If the such of type within the spell range, the animals can be no more than 4 hit dice each. Animals summoned with the aid of Druid by whatever possessed, staying until the fight is over. Specific miss. Druid may try 3 times to summon 3 different sorts of animals. Suppose that wild dogs are first summoned to no avail, then hawks are unsuccessful, and finally the Druids call for wild horses, which may or may not. Your referee determine the probabilities if the presence of the summoned animal is not known. Other various types of giant animals, fantastic or monsters, cannot be summoned. So you could, in this case, you could say, hey, you could have 4 animals of no more than 16 hit dice. So if you, of course, that means they would typically, hold on just 1 second. You keep going. Hello, it's James.
Oh, is it the Grog line?
Yes.
Hi, this is John for the National Police and Trooper Association.
That's not the Grog line.
To let you know the new drive is underway. Like always, your support.
I can hear it. It's a solicitation.
Yes. It's not the Grog line. It's not the Grog
Well,
Grog
it was.
line.
Oh.
I apologize.
Well, it was the Grog line.
It was. Well, I'm not
just
sure it was.
didn't mean
Yeah. It was someone else that wasn't part of the Grog line.
It's interesting. He was asking you for money, right? We should have asked him for money.
That's right. Hey, thank you very much. Hey, do you mind supporting the
Police
GROGTALK?
Benevolent Association would like to become a patron?
That's right.
You get a title.
I'm a big fan of that. I would have been happy to talk to them, just not right now. During the GROGTALK,
like the chief of police could get a title.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Enough back to supporting the police. Let's get back to something more serious.
Right.
Animal summoning. The druid calls up to 8 animals of whatever sort the druid names. Now, wait a second. I'm confused. Whatever sort the druid names.
That's not 4 hit dice, right?
But this says there, wherever...
Right, so you could do it that way.
For the cleric or illusionist cannot specify what sort of animal he or she will summon. That last line.
Yeah, so it's a different animal. That's a different thing. Normally, let me dispel the confusion.
Thank you.
This is how you would do it for monster summoning.
I'm summoning a monster. Appendix M.
For druid one, because I've never run animal summoning because it's ridiculous, but maybe I should.
Why is it ridiculous?
Compared to the other spells. We just ignored...
David Thompson, help us out.
Sure.
Thane Thompson.
He's not Dane.
Explain to us. Oh, he's not. What is he?
He's the Chamberlain. His August Potency, Archsuit, the Shrewd Guardian.
He's been promoted. Chamberlain Thompson, explain to my friend James here how valuable animal summoning
I would conjure a fire elemental before I did that.
The animal summoner will aid the druid by whatever means they possess.
Yes.
A specific mission is finished, the druid is safe, sends him away. The druid may try 3 times to summon 3 different sorts of animals.
Yeah, so what you're going to have to do in this case, if you're following by the rules, is you'd have to figure out, they ask for a horse, you'd look in horse under frequency, and you have to roll percentages for that area.
Oh, you get 3 times.
Right.
You get 3 shots to get something.
Right.
So the possibilities...
It has to be a normal animal.
Well, so you could use the frequency. I mean, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, how would you determine if it was available?
Well, if you know, I mean, if it's your setting.
If you had random monsters and things, random creatures in setup.
Right.
And if it was a common thing. But if you
knew, right.
if you're asking for cows in the dungeon, that's probably not going to happen.
Your referee will determine probabilities. The presence of a summoned animal type is not known. Other than various sorts of giant animals, fantastic animals, or monsters cannot be... Other than various sorts of giant animals, comma.
Right, it has to be an animal.
Fantastic animals or monsters cannot be summoned.
Yes.
So what's happening here...
This is why this chart is very useful, because at least it gives you all the animals that are animals.
But so I'm the druid.
Yeah.
I get 3 shots.
And you're 12th level.
Oh, so you're going to give me a good range?
No.
Oh, that's right, I'm on animal 3.
You're on animal 3.
Oh,
it said you can do up to 16 hit dice. Why would you wouldn't be...
No, I'm with you.
You wouldn't be summoning dogs. You'd be summoning the biggest thing you could.
Right, and you can summon giant animals.
Right.
So a giant, what? Bat.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You'd have to know. You'd have to have a good bestiary. You'd have to know. So you would say something like rhinoceros. Okay.
Right. Oh, Or I could do elephant.
Elephant. That's right. Mastodon, mammoth, whale. The problem is, as you get higher and higher, there's only whales that are animals that big, which is, if in water, only appropriate sorts of animals will be called. Swimmers and flying ones were applicable.
And so they'll fight for you.
Right.
So it's like friendship, sort of. I mean, it's a temporary.
Right.
So is this sort of like a temporary friendship spell? Because they also have animal friendship, correct?
Yeah, they're friends.
So it's sort of like, right, so this is like a temporary friendship.
Yeah, you're like Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I don't know. No?
Well, again, it depends what the DM's going to allow you to do. Because I know what they want to do. They'd want to have dinosaurs come. But notice there's no dinosaurs.
But it's going to be right. No, that's right. But it's got to actually. So and you get after
So if I was playing
shots,
Isle of Dread, I'd probably use that spell if I had that.
So after 3 shots, you're done. So in other words, but you don't want to risk it, right? So you want to try to summon animals that you suspect are in the area.
Right.
Right? Because if I do 3 shots.
But it'd be a dinosaur. That's if we were playing in a jungle setting that had dinosaurs, that's what I'd be summoning with that.
Right. The druid may try 3 times, 3 different. So I can do 1 set, and if I don't get any or I get some, but I still have hit dice left, I can try another one. Right? Because I can fill up the amount.
Up to 3 times, it says.
Right. 3 times, but I assume that, let's say I ask for wild dogs, I only get 1 wild dog.
Well,
I can do a second one?
I don't know about that.
Oh, you think it's just 1 type of animal and I'm done?
This is interesting. David Thompson says, first, I would like to say that druids are different to clerics and others The druids can name and tribe, whereas clerics cannot. Because
Yeah.
clerics, their 6th level spell, they also get conjure animals. It says under that, the conjured animal, blah, blah, blah. The spellcaster can, by means of his incantation, call upon one or more mammals with hit dice whose total does not exceed his or her level.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So I guess it's.
So that's what L is for, right?
Conjure them randomly, and
Oh.
the druids.
Oh, so the cleric, when a cleric gets a spell,
He has to
it's
do this
random.
one. He has to do L, right?
Oh, there it is, and that's why it says for the cleric or illusionist cannot specify what sort of animal.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I like random. So that's
So when you
more-
ask me, I've never used animal summoning. First of all, we never had druids that high level. They usually get killed off before that. 2, they would do conjure file elemental, which is way better.
And you state the number of hit dice when the cleric or illusionist, you state the number of hit dice of animals you'll be summoning.
Well, that's based on their level. That's what Nico just said.
Right, but I didn't know you. Okay, so you're just announcing. I didn't know if you'd like reduce it and hence.
Well, you could say I want 5. If I'm 15th level, let's say, I could have 5 3-hit dice things, and it would tell you how much it used. That's what the hit dice cost is next to it.
All right, roll. Give me a.
Well,
so-
we're not doing conjure animal. We're doing
This should be a new
animals.
segment.
Now we're not even using the spell we're supposed to. Oh, jeez.
The wild dog.
The wild dog. Okay.
Okay.
So what we're hearing is the dungeon master is going to have to figure out the frequency of the animal summoned and if it's underneath there, and then if the druid can try 3 times, and they would be up to 16 hit dice.
And I like your idea of using how frequent they are.
Right,
Because
if
it
you
gives
don't know.
you percentages,
Right,
right? In the
that's right.
beginning of the monster manual.
Right,
Right. Okay.
and that's a crapshoot for them. They may get nothing.
And
So,
the only thing that we are.
and I would argue that if the druid was from the area, I would increase their chances because they're in that area. In other words, if it was known to them that this was their woods, they should have
sure.
a better chance of knowing what monsters. It shouldn't be just complete straight off the thing.
Right. You shouldn't say so. If the druid knows the gnarly woods,
Right.
and then the druid's like, well, what kind of animals would be here? You wouldn't want to be as a DM and be like, I don't know.
Yeah, you figure it out.
You figured it out.
Yeah.
You're the druid.
Yeah, that would be rude.
Is it listed
What?
in?
David Thompson brought up another good point.
This is why we're so happy he's on.
Yeah, at the end of the spell, because summoned monsters probably wink out of existence, right?
Mhm.
But whether conjured animals do that or not, or they just stick around and then just wander.
Well, it says
Well,
animal summoning.
Conjured would wink out, right? And conjured would disappear, right?
Well-
And summon would.
Summon, they blink out. In monster summoning, they appear and they disappear.
Oh, okay.
They don't just stroll up.
'Cause-
Here, they sound like they just appear because they're part of the nature. They don't
They hear
physically.
the call. They see
Right,
the bat
that's right.
signal.
They see the bat signal, exactly. So the question is, do they just go, in the middle of the combat, go, meh, I've had enough.
Yeah, I think they're like, what am I doing? Because they're under a spell.
Yeah.
And the spell, how long does the spell last?
It's special. I think they do a fight and then they leave.
Oh, that's right. They complete the task.
Right,
So they feel satisfied.
right.
And they're like, I'm done here now.
That's right.
Hungry.
Then
Yeah,
they-
I think
Then they
they.
look at you.
Yeah, because this is exactly, you're absolutely right. Because the player's going to say, okay, so they're following us around, right?
Right.
No.
Their
No,
task
it's not
is to
friendly. Yeah.
get me to 15th level. That's their task, and you would have to say no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, right. Your task is to do everything I say forever.
That's right.
All right, now hold on. Is it loophole time? What does this rule say?
Will
What does
aid
it
by
say?
whatever means they possess, staying until the fight is over, a specific mission is finished. The druid is safe. I never feel safe. He's constantly in fear, or he sends them
Right.
away. So this is painful.
Okay, wait.
Alright.
Is it in? Is it described in the DMG under the spell explanations?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Under
So for
druid.
druid, what level? So it's level 3 is the normal
Right.
one.
Okay.
I like summon insects.
Ugh.
No, it's not there. Right, level 3.
Yeah, level 3.
No.
Nope.
No, wait. 4th level, animal summoning 1.
There you go.
For probable animals in the area.
Oh, there you go.
See the foregoing commentary on locate animals.
Oh, locate animals. There you go.
Where? So which one's locate animals? Where's I say locate plants. The prior one.
All right. Well, Nico can work on that. We got to work on. We've been here for an hour. We haven't even talked about gnomes, and I know people are here for the gnomes.
This is a good transition.
Mhm.
Illusionists can learn to conjure animals.
Oh, really?
That's very That's very strange.
Yeah.
Known
We've
illusionists.
gone down this rabbit hole that none of my players would ever animal summon. Maybe they should. but none of them would do that. They'd
This
be
is
like
what it says.
fire elemental.
So under locate animals for the druid.
Yeah.
This spell is another which requires a bit of effort on the part of the DM, as it is quite unlikely that each and every species of animal in the area of the spellcaster will be recorded. You will have to use the probabilities of your milieu. See, I said I didn't use the word milieu.
Milieu is
I'm not
wonderful.
Gygax, but
Right.
obviously there's a 0% chance of locating a polar bear in the jungle or a jungle cat in a cavern thousands of feet below ground. So the locale is second after the region as whether or not some animal will be in the smell range. Then consider the terrain. Mountain lions do not typically roam the prairies, for instance. Lastly, consider the frequency of the animals desired in relation to all of the above.
Which is basically what we said.
Oh, look at this. If the animal is within the area of probability, allow a straight percentile roll. Is this a percentage chances from the monster?
Yeah, very simple. They're not exactly the same, but
they're
similar.
different?
Yes.
So you'd have to use these. These supersede.
Right. By 5. I think uncommon was 20% in the Monster Man, 25% here.
Okay. Very useful. You know, I always forget about, well, not always, obviously, not always, but forget that the DMG does have some of those little explanations. That must have been Gygax. The DMG was after the player's handbook, if I recall. So that must have been Gygax wanting to clarify some things or fill some gaps in the player handbook spell discussion.
Right. Well, I'm sure the questions came up and they're like, they put it in there. Okay. Very good. I think this spell selection thing has taken a while. So, would you use a spell compared to, again, part of what I liked is, would I use this compared to some of the other 6th level? I'm a 12th level druid. Would I pick this spell?
Well, you know, there could be some, there could be.
If I have Feeble Mind, weather summoning, Wall of Thorns, turn wood, transport via plants, fire seeds, maybe. Feeble Mind, that's good. Cure critical wounds, very important. Again, druids were like wannabe clerics, so most druids they had to learn healing spells,
but see,
which
the
is
druids,
terrible to waste a 6th level spell on that.
But people who are playing druids, they're going to like this spell, because people who want to play druids are like animals. Come, join me.
Yeah, but the party is going to go, you need to provide healing. Stop wasting your time.
But I have this badger. I have this small skunk.
I don't care about a skunk. I care about the 3 to 8 healing that you're going to provide.
You're in combat. You could have like a bunch of skunks.
Yes,
that would you would you give it that equivalent as a stinking cloud if I had enough skunk? If I summoned enough skunks, would you do it the equivalent of a stinking cloud spell?
I would use a cantrip. There's a rotten cantrip.
Rotten egg.
Yeah, I think there's a rotten cantrip. That's what you'd get. If it was a giant skunk, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've beaten that to death. I think we're now ready for our next segment.
The reason we all came here today.
The reason we came here, which is about gnomes. We're here to talk about gnomes. And for those who have anything more from the chat about spells before we continue?
No.
Okay. So we're here to talk about gnomes. And if you've listened to our show of any length, and Dan is prominently displaying his gnome cup. What are you drinking today, Dan?
It's a chai tea latte.
Oh, chai tea latte.
Delicious. That's what gnomes drink.
Oh, they do. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So we are following in the order of the player's handbook, right? So first was dwarves, then elves, then gnomes.
And I thought for sure you'd made a mistake. I had to double check that. And there's no way gnomes are number 3. But right. Gnomes are number 3. That's significant.
Well, it's significant in the fact that it's between the 2 real classes, the 2 real races, which is dwarf and halfling. Even Gary Gygax is, well, no, there's half elves. I apologize, but gnomes is number 3. You're right.
Okay.
I was gonna make another joke. Let's just say I think.
Oh, you say gnomes are number 2? Is that your joke?
That's what I was trying to get to, but I can't.
Yeah.
So. Well, for this adventure or for this session, we are going to use again in Best of Dragon Volume 3, which I'm holding up. Roger Moore, in a series in the late 50s, early 60s of Dragon magazines, had compiled the information of the day and created a point of view, which, as we've talked about, it's an opportunity not just to play a human in a different body and get the stats, but to actually try to blend in some of the role-playing aspects of it. So this first appeared in issue 61, May of 1982, which is acceptable as far as we're concerned. We'll also be talking about what's in the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and the DMG. So this could be a really short segment if I was doing it. and I even sent
Is that
my
a-
notes.
Is that a height joke?
Huh?
Is that a height joke?
Yes, this
About
could be really
gnomes?
short. That's right. I'll be here all day. They're bad, and there's not much more to say. That's what I'd like to say, but that's not good thing. And I don't mean they're bad. I just think they're derivative. I'm your typical Rolling Stone critic
Derivative of what?
of a dwarf. They're derivative.
I don't even.
And a halfling.
I don't see that at all. They're very
Dwarves live in the
different.
mountains. Halflings live in burrows and mounds. Gnomes split the difference.
Not as deep. Oh well.
They don't.
Dwarf.
Halflings are real short. Dwarves are short. Gnomes are in between. They're derivative. They are the miniature pony.
Okay, well, let's.
Of that. So, but again, like the Rolling Stone critic who criticized Led Zeppelin or whoever as derivative and ponderous, I'm not going to be like them. I'm going to try to look at this from an open viewpoint.
Okay, so I think what's interesting to me about gnomes is that they don't get any penalty or bonus on their rolls.
Right.
I don't. That seems strange to me. I guess we could look over at their scores. I mean, they have to have an 8 con, so you could give them a plus on con. Does that make sense to you that gnomes don't get any pluses or minuses, or they don't do anything particularly?
Neither do half elves, so it's not that big a deal.
Right. Okay. So they get no pluses or minuses.
Right.
Classes. So what can gnomes? Gnomes, like many other classes, they can be a cleric, but not as a PC. Only as an NPC.
Yep.
So there are gnome clerics. Can't be a druid. They can be a fighter, but if you have less than 18 strength,
right,
you're limited to 5th level.
Right. Well, that's Winkley Pew is that way. He'll only be 5th level fighter if he survives.
Right. So that's interesting.
Winkley Pew.
So that's, they can't be a paladin, not surprisingly,
right,
or a ranger, or a magic user. They can be, and this is the interesting thing, they can be an illusionist.
Right,
So
and that's their claim to fame. Well, supposedly because they are tricksters, and which again goes back to their annoying, their endearing qualities. Some would find it endearing. Most people find it annoying, and the idea is they're practical jokers, and illusionists are practical jokers. So, voila, I guess. And they're tinkerers. Later, they became the tinkerers of the fantasy world. You get that from World of Warcraft, and I'm sure there's other fiction from back then. They became these mad scientists, and again, illusionists was part of that.
I don't know anything about that.
I know. That was during the dark time when you weren't in
right.
fantasy.
It's like the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
And now it's the Renaissance.
And now it's
the
Renaissance.
old school Renaissance.
That's right. These are the classics.
That's right. I hadn't really thought about that. So it's OSR, that moniker. Some say revival, some say Renaissance. So if it's Renaissance, does that mean we're coming out of the Dark Ages? So first edition and original OD&D was like Greek and Rome.
Right.
It was a classical era.
That's right.
And then it became the Dark Ages.
Right. Where it became just full of stuff. And people survived through it.
Crusades, those edition wars.
Plagues.
Yeah, the plague.
The Mongols,
Right.
Magic of the Gathering.
And now it's the Renaissance.
That's right. Now we're in the Renaissance.
Okay.
We're back.
So, gnomes.
Or we could be the Rococo era at this point.
What's that?
That's the Rococo, where they made it very flourishing, just over-the-top embellishments.
Oh, like the Gilded Age? Wait, no.
That was in the 17th century.
Oh, wow, you're very knowledgeable. Okay.
If we're going to start talking history, I probably should bring Ed here. Ed is the classics person.
He would know, yes. He's just shaking his head now.
Yeah, he's unsubscribed.
So this is what I think is interesting. If you look at the monster manual, gnomes, what are they? Rare, common?
I'd say they're common.
They're rare.
Why?
I don't know. They are. They're rare. And Moore talks about this.
Moore does talk about
He says only, 1 in 20
right.
are of a party are gnomes.
Yeah, 1 in 20.
So that's interesting. Gnomes are... So there's way more hill giants.
That's right.
Than gnomes. So it would be more surprising. You say, hey, I saw a hill giant
Or
today.
Hydra.
Or I saw a Hydra in the swamp.
Right.
Big deal. Hey, I saw a gnome. What?
Wow.
Where? Show me.
Except in parties with us. There hasn't been a group that hasn't had a gnome.
Right.
We are 2 or 3 standard deviations off the mean when it comes to our frequency of gnomes.
Okay.
But they're supposed to be rare.
So they are rare.
And they tend to stay amongst themselves. They will interact with others, but they're basically, I don't say reclusive, but they like their kind.
Right.
And what Roger Moore says is gnomes. This is one of my favorite lines. Gnomes seem to have struck a happy medium between the attitudes of dwarves and elves. So again, they're middle ground of them. I've also I've put as presented in this was in Roger Moore saying as presented in ADD rulebooks and played in ADD campaigns, gnomes are at times seem a little too much like dwarves. And I think that's what one good thing about the gnomish point of view that Roger Moore has is trying to make them less dwarf-like. Because at the surface, as we talked about, they're not in Lord of the Rings. They have a lot of features of dwarves, but not exactly. So why not play them? And that's what's good about this article. You get to try to fit them into things.
Yeah, I think to me, gnomes are quite different from dwarves. And maybe it's because I'm a big fan of the Roger Moore article and I've read it a few times. And so I feel like gnomes are different. They have much more of a sense of humor. Dwarves can have a sense of humor, but to me, dwarves are a bit more gruff, they're more serious. Gnomes are more lighthearted. What I do like about gnomes is that their sense of humor can be dark at times, right?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they are. They almost have the way Roger Moore portrays them is they have a kind of a chip on their shoulder that they've been slighted by the quote-unquote giants, which is anyone above dwarf size. And it's almost like they pretending to be, hey, how's it going? You're my buddy. And
right.
But actually, they're not big fans of the tall people.
Right.
Any tall people. Unless you get over their initial suspicion and you treat them, they're like Pepe Le Pew or whatever. They are... they always have a chip on their shoulder because they think people don't take them seriously. So you have to sincerely ingratiate yourself to them, or else they're going to be like, you're one of those tallies, and we need to bring you down to size.
And I think that's
sticking it to the man is what they're kind of about.
And I think if you play a gnome, then you want to keep that in mind. So to play a gnome and to play a gnome well requires you to be a trickster, right? That you've got this chip on your shoulder, that you're looking to play practical jokes on larger creatures. So that's, of course, why I think it's fun to play a gnome who is an illusionist thief, right? So that's, when you think of a great multi-class character, I think of a gnome illusionist thief. Now, gnomes are the only ones, if I recall correctly, that can be illusionist thieves, right?
Yes. They're the only ones who can be illusionists, except you're humans. Right.
So then obviously they can only be the ones that can be illusionist thieves. And that's a very potent multi-class. Well, maybe potent isn't the right word.
And again, this probably my disdain for them also stems from the utility value that I thought of them when I was younger, which is 0. Because if you didn't have a DM who's going to be creative with illusionist spells and really allow them to find that sweet spot between completely broken spells and completely useless, most DMs would be like, nope, the Phantasm Force doesn't work that way, it does nothing, and eventually they get dumbed down. They don't get a lot of, why would I want something that I have to worry about how the DM interprets it versus Magic Missile, which I know does this amount of damage, or Sleep doesn't. It's back to that certainty. And now as I've gotten older, I think having some of that magic be more mysterious and the outcome not exactly known is not as scary as it was previous to that. So again, it's not as bad. But this idea of, they're very humorous and they're tricksters. Yeah, they're humorous to themselves, but the rest of the party may not find them very funny at all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds me of me.
Another reason, more truth has not been said in this podcast.
My favorite was when it was me and Doug were both playing gnomes. We were pretty obnoxious and annoying, I think. Yeah.
No, it was great.
I don't think Lane really appreciated our trickster. See, he was a dwarf. See, that was perfect.
That's right.
That worked out perfectly.
That's right. It was very apropos when it came to that, I guess.
Now, something that had been pointed out to me by Mr. Lysing. Oh, it's right there. Sorry, you've got it up there. Right, by Chamberlain, his most renowned, illustrious baron, irresistible immolator of Cleveland.
And I will be adding Sir Gainey to this evening or tomorrow. Okay. Put him on the heraldry list. So,
is that gnomes in the monster manual, their alignment is indicated neutral to lawful good.
Right.
Yeah, I just assumed they're lawful good because I think Roger Moore.
He does talk about that.
And he said they're lawful good orientation somewhere.
Right. It's in this. It's on the third column, second paragraph.
Page 23, the lawful good orientation of most gnomes. And so that's probably why I was thinking they're basically all lawful good. But this is, now I read neutral to lawful good as meaning neutral good to lawful good, not neutral, not true neutral all the way to lawful good. Would you agree that that's, the neutral is modifying good?
Well,
in the monster manual.
Yes, I would say, yeah, they're not chaotic. I would almost say they're either neutral to lawful good.
Well, and I believe
you could go neutral, neutral good, lawful good, not neutral, chaotic good. You wouldn't have everything in between it.
Oh, but what about true neutral? Did you say true neutral?
They have neutral tendencies, at least, and the way he explains it here is neutral aligned gnomes are not often prone to be closely involved with other races, with the possible exception of Sylvan elves and the rare communities of tall fellow halflings of neutral alignment. And the way he justifies it is that gnomes of neutral alignment are more concerned about balance of the environment, and that, you know, with the good comes the bad kind of thing.
So you see the neutral to lawful good as meaning basically neutral, lawful, so true neutral.
Right.
Lawful neutral.
Neutral good or
neutral
lawful good.
Or
lawful
good.
Right. They would not be chaotic.
As opposed to neutral good and is only neutral
even
good.
though they're tricksters, and this goes back to my perception of alignment, which is a worldview of how things should be ordered. It's a political thing. Like lawful good is because they have community spirit and they want to work together and other allied beings. It's a worldview of we should work together. Neutrality is about I really don't care about political systems and this type of thing, and they're all necessary because that's the nature of things. That you have to have lawful societies, you have to have chaotic societies, you have to have good societies and evil societies, so they can run the gamut of it.
Okay.
And it seems that I would argue the ones that are closer to civilization and they may be more communal, making them more lawful, versus the ones that are more wild and part of the nature would be more neutral.
Okay.
And if you telegraph that to your players, that may give them some idea, because I've probably read that 100 times. I still always think of them like dwarves, which are lawful good, not neutral to lawful good.
Well, now that's a good point. So that is, because I was just sort of thinking about, they can be neutral, that's interesting, and I was stopping there. But you're right, that does sort of create a difference or emphasize a difference between them and dwarves.
Right.
So they're...
Which they need, desperately.
And so they hate kobolds and goblins.
Yes, and they get a bonus for that.
Which means that you should, if you're playing a gnome and you see a goblin or a kobold, you should become, I don't know if enraged is necessarily the right word,
yeah,
but
they get a bonus. They should be, and it will focus on them.
Right. You would, and the downside is kobolds will probably focus on you.
Right.
Because kobolds hate. Do gnomes hate? Not. They don't have as much of a hatred of gnomes as kobolds do. That's my recollection anyway. Goblins on page 24 of Morsar. Goblins also hate gnomes, though not with the single-minded fury. So single-minded fury. So a kobold sees a gnome. It's almost like they go berserk.
Right.
Not like berserk, you get any modifiers.
Right. Well, and it goes back to the deities of the situation.
Oh, that was hilarious. You can talk about the collapsing.
That's right. Glargirgold, that trickster, that funny, happy guy.
Yeah.
Played around with the kobold god. What's his name? Kurkulamak. And so apparently Kurkulamak has dinner parties in the hells. He kind of hangs out.
I always thought an adventure in that kobold deity's palace, you got to go in there, something would be kind of cool.
Well, that's a gnome in hell.
A gnome in hell.
A gnome in hell.
I love it.
That's right.
Or gnomes in hell, because we want to have a party. That should be like next year's.
It's Glargirgold has picked you guys to recreate the festival where
on the
anniversary
to go in there.
That's right.
And you got to collapse the wall.
Collapse the wall.
That would be awesome.
You did it again! The little kobold god screams at them.
Be practically pretty high level, though.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I like this.
There you go. There's a module.
Yeah, I mean, you might even be like a 6-level fighter.
Right. Yes. You could be like, wow, you have 18 strength? Wow.
Bring me the hero gnome, the most powerful gnome fighter in all the realm.
That's right.
I'm here.
I'm here. Look at me.
6th level.
Going to hell. 6th level.
I'm going to hell. Yeah.
To recreate the we definitely want our Chamberlain, his most renowned, illustrious Baron Lysing, or any of our famed DMs. Maybe the other Chamberlain, David Thompson. He may want to make an Australian version, Down Under.
Yeah, we should. Oh, see, we're like a week late. We should have submitted. We should have just told Mr. Light. I'm sorry. We should have just told Chamberlain, his most renowned, illustrious Baron Irresistible Emulator of Cleveland, that winning title was Gnomes in Hell.
Gnomes in Hell. Well, he mentioned it. Remember, he was the one who did that.
Oh, that's right.
So that's why I'm trying to tie these together.
Yeah.
I know for you, it's like almost like you have no.
I compartmentalize.
Yeah. Last week was last week. You don't remember anything. We're trying to tie it together.
This is our first episode, right?
Well, based on what we're doing, it feels that way.
It has the quality of a first episode.
So yes, there was the grand joke and the kobolds.
The grand joke. Is this you refer to it as the grand joke?
All in all, it was a grand joke indeed.
Oh no, it's not a.
It was.
It's from here. It's the grand joke.
So goblins hate gnomes, but not single fury, like you said.
So what you would taunt. So if you're a gnome and you come upon a kobold, you'd want to taunt him about that event. Ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially since you can speak kobold.
That's right.
Can you? I think you can.
Which is odd.
Right.
Wait, or do you learn it so you can taunt them?
Right. All you learn is the curse words, or which is sucker.
The insults.
Yeah. Wall collapsing. Your god's lame.
You're tiny.
Why
are you so short?
That's the pot calling the kettle black.
Oh, what are you, a kobold now? What are you, a kobold lover?
No, but just kobold, goblin, and of course,
that's the segue.
That's right.
You knew it was coming.
Right. Well, we done talk. So before we talk about the powers, let's finish up how the
powers.
Well, this is a true
quotes.
Powers.
One of our viewers is asking where they can find our email.
info@grogcon.com. info@grogcon.com.
They want to send hate mail.
They want to send cease and desist emails.
Yeah, it's Wizards of the Coast legal department.
info@grogcon.
Where to send the cease and desist letter.
Yep.
That's right. Being threatened.
info@grogcon.com. Yep. It's also on our website, grogcon.com. Yep.
Probably the kobold's lawyer.
Yeah. So the other thing that's interesting is, again, they like adventuring, so that kind of makes sense why they would do that. But Roger Moore spends a lot of time on the sexual proclivities and imbalances of gnomes, which is odd.
Which he talked about dwarves too, about that, and he talked
There's a lot of fetish about the things I didn't worry about when I was 13, how they bred. I didn't care. But
right.
Apparently, Roger
You were
Moore
just
is concerned.
worried about how am I going to breed.
Right. I was more concerned about if I was playing this game, was I getting the bonus to saves, not how the gnomes were breeding.
Not will I ever breed.
That's right. Not at that point.
Okay.
I wasn't worried about it. Later. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, I've been successful. Right, Nico?
Nico's happy.
So it mentions that they're basically for. Now, you could go dark here, is the reason that there's supposedly 2 males for every female. It's like a China or something. Are they eliminating the female gnomes or just they birth skewed?
Where does that sexual imbalance come from? Where does Moore get that from? Is that somewhere in there?
It doesn't
in
say.
the monster? Because he just says it as a fact.
Yeah. And like dwarves, he says. So there must be somewhere it's said there.
I like how you can have courtships lasting hundreds of years.
Right. That sounds painful. You want to talk about another dinner date? This is like 50 years of dinner dates.
And they live so long. So you're like you max out a 6-level fighter, and you're going to say 6 level
that's the same thing with the elves. That's the same thing with the elves. So you got 1,600 years, and they can only go this level. And again, you should just say party balance, but it doesn't. We have to kind of go back and forth on that. But I didn't realize they lived that long. I mean, I've seen the table 100 times. I just ignored them.
See, a gnome assassin would be great because, as you've talked about, they're motivated by a similar get-em-back philosophy, enjoy taking vengeance on their enemies with macabre humor.
Right, that's like the Joker or the guy from what was that show? The guy with the mask, and there's been a lot of them, but the comedy one that made fun of it.
Oh, scary.
Scary movie. That would be, except a short. Imagine a 4-foot scary movie with the thing on.
Or like, yeah, who was the?
I'm coming to get you. Or the Periwinkle, right? What's his name? The It clown. That's to me is the most
or
scary.
Was there like a little puppet, a little doll, a little?
Yeah, Chucky, like
Chucky.
that. Chucky, any of those. That would be perfect.
So you're like, right? So like, you're coming home. And you find your like husband's head, like on a platter, and as a centerpiece for dinner. Or something.
And says dinner is served.
Dinner is served. Right. Helping you get ahead.
That's right.
Today.
He lost his head. Yeah, you have to do all those bad puns.
Right. That's
you do that with Audible Glamour, because I think can you be an illusionist assassin? Because if not, I would allow that. I totally will allow that.
I don't think you can.
You can't, but I would totally do that.
Yes.
I mean, you can be an illusionist thief. So why can't you be an illusionist assassin? That seems to be amazing.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That's half orcs can only be that.
Yeah.
So half orcs can be cleric assassin. So some of these combinations. I mean, if one of my players, that would be a derivation. If they wanted to play an illusionist assassin, I would totally think about that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting.
But they'd have to, it'd have to be psychotic Joker kind of thing with that, and eventually the paladin would have to kill them. But for that time when they were trying to be. Yeah, I mean, and if you know some of my players, if you could imagine Dud as an illusionist assassin with Lane as the paladin, that's gold. That's comedy gold right there. That would be... the sessions would write themselves.
The new Fafnir and Grey Mouser. Yeah, you could have a little adventures, just those two together.
Right. So, what was interesting here, he mentions, as some of his reference material that he went over, was The 3 Hearts and 3 Lions by Paul Anderson, which I guess, and The Enchanted Pilgrimage by Clifford D. Smith. So I started researching 3 Hearts and 3 Lions because that is a very famous book when it comes to D&D. It was very influential to the formation of Dungeons and Dragons.
I've never even heard of it.
Okay.
Wow, I've learned something new.
Yes, it was because it was a series of articles in a magazine that was compiled in 1962 or something to that effect. And apparently Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, particularly Gary Gygax, wrote, and one of the things it was claimed to fame was that it was the first Law versus Chaos. It was one that had the initial alignment system, which OD&D had. And it had a Hughie, which could have been a gnome, but really was presented as a dwarf in the book. But Roger Moore in Dragon 49, Hughie was depicted as an AD&D gnome fighter.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Okay.
So that's the general. They're sneaky. They're not sneaky. They are mischievous. They're the guy who has laughs at his own jokes, and sometimes, and maybe it's, if you're in on the joke, it's great. If not, there's a lot of that shenanigans that you have to deal with.
So that's very different from a dwarf.
Right, dwarves
are what?
Yeah, they're not
dour
funny.
And taciturn.
Right, they're not
very
funny.
Different.
That's why the Scottish thing I don't quite get. Maybe some Scots are dour. Again, I don't know enough of them, but the ones that we see played, they can be very humorous.
Well, I think they're humorous in a different sort of way.
Okay.
Not like just kind of a wry comment here and there.
Okay. Well, they're...
Right, because they like to tease, so Moore says that they would make a joke about how they single-handedly,
right.
Or what are you worried about?
Their bravado maybe come off as humorous.
Right.
I got you.
The old, what is it, certain death, whatever, what are we waiting
Let's
for?
go and invade our certain death. Yeah,
right. What are we waiting for,
That's
right?
Poor Scottish. Nico does a good Scotsman.
See, this is the difference, is that the dwarf is saying, certain death, whatever, what are we waiting for?
Right.
And that's his joke. What he doesn't realize, he's like sitting in a thing of like whipped cream. That's because that's the gnome style.
Right.
The gnomes
and then he fails his dex check and they're all killed. Because, right. That's always fun.
The gnome sense of humor is not so much like, it's not like a stand-up routine, I don't think.
Okay.
It's
the gnome thing is annoying, and if you're another gnome, it's hilarious. That's why for you guys it was good. I think you guys played it well. So let's talk about what the advantage is. Now you've figured out that you're going to play it as an annoying. If you're an annoying person, gnomes are great for you.
Right, it's in your wheelhouse.
Because then you can do. I'm just playing my character.
It's just me.
You
get an opportunity to be annoying, and you can blame it on the gnome.
That's right. It's not me. I wouldn't do this. I'm just playing my character.
Well, that's what D&D is anyway. Like, I slaughtered a village. Hey, that was fun. I get to slaughter a village.
Yes.
And no repercussions. I'm not going to jail.
But that's where the DM's supposed to intervene.
Well, D&D repercussions,
Right.
not real world.
Wow, that's almost as bad. You see some of the reactions my players have when something bad happens to their characters.
They flipped. That's the real world. I don't mean they flipped out. That's the real world.
They
Going to work is not the real world.
They're a horror. They would be horrific. So let's talk about their advantages that they have.
Yes. Why do I want to be a gnome?
Right. What? Well.
Okay.
That is an existential question that I've answered a long time ago. I don't.
So I get some pluses. I get, right, so they're highly magic resistant, like a dwarf.
Right.
Right? So I get a bonus of +1 for every 3.5 points of con ability.
Yep.
Right? Just as dwarf characters do.
They have infravision.
They have infravision.
Like a dwarf.
Like a dwarf. They speak a lot of languages,
that's the most powerful thing they have. Do not step ahead. Let's wait for that.
What's the next paragraph?
I know, but I'm not doing an order. We're doing an order of power. Saving throws.
Oh, okay. So I can detect a lot of stuff.
Right. Like a
grade. Let's compare these. Detect grade and slope and passage. No, I have an 80% probability. So they have a better grade and slope and passage.
Which makes absolutely no sense, but okay. One thing they can do that the other things can't, that is more powerful, is they detect unsafe walls, ceilings, or floors, which dwarves cannot do. They can detect traps.
Oh, so it's unsafe wall. It's just unsafe walls, ceilings, or floors.
And I was using that as my gnome during the thing, and I detected it, and then I still fell. Which again, thanks, John. Appreciate that. That was awesome.
So dwarves are able to do sliding or shifting walls or rooms
and traps.
Involving pits, falling blocks, and gnomes can do unsafe. But unsafe is such a broad word.
Well, floors and ceilings, so they can detect basically shoddy. They're building inspectors. That's what they can basically do.
Oh, I think that's right. So in other words, they wouldn't be able to detect a trap. So let's say you've got a falling block trap.
Right.
That's going to come down off of a ceiling.
Yeah.
Would you?
No, that's not unsafe. That's a trap. You wouldn't see.
Well, it is unsafe.
Well, it is unsafe. But it's not unsafe because the construction's falling apart.
Okay, so you're viewing the unsafe walls. Yeah, so they're walking down and they're just like, oh yeah, this is not up to code.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
They're part of the Gnome Guild. They'd be like, we cannot mine in these conditions. Exactly.
Okay. They can do depth underground better.
Like a dwarf.
Better than a dwarf. And direction.
Which the dwarves cannot do.
Oh, and they can do the direction. Okay. So there is some. So it doesn't just stack.
No.
So it would make sense to have both a dwarf and a gnome. Because they would have different
Yeah, you should have
abilities.
all the race. I mean, if you're going to do it, you'd have all the races involved.
Oh,
The whole except they didn't have gnomes.
4 halflings?
Exactly. 4 halflings, and well, they just, because you assume they were going to die horribly. Anyway,
Okay.
So you have that. They have they must back to the actively seeking, and as if you recall, the Chamberlain, his august potency, Archduke, the shrewd guardian of Australia, is mentioned. He is adjudicated, and we have agreed with him that that's a 10-minute deal.
He was right. There's no right. I mean, adjudicate means that's the rule. You guys found that, right? He pointed out it's in the back in the DMG.
Back of the DMG.
So yeah, so it's 10 minutes to do that.
Right.
So everyone quiet.
Right. Yes.
We should take a 10-minute. Should we do that now?
I feel like most people have rested by turning us off by now, but I don't know that.
A 10-minute break to
10-minute break.
A real time concentrate.
Yeah, no, we're still hanging in there. The people who are
the
there.
The Gnome Nation has turned out.
Gnome Nation has turned out. That's right.
Okay.
We were up to 9 at one point. And they're like, oh god, this is going on and on.
And then they subtract 4 when the monster does, right? If they're big, but it's only gnolls, bugbears, ogres, trolls, ogre magi, giants, and or titans. And we've decided that you play that as written,
right?
Which is that don't argue that there should be a minus just because it's a large, right. The Etten doesn't get a minus.
If you're going to play it rules as written, this one again, the only one that doesn't make sense is titans. All the other ones I'd be okay with because they fight them, but how many titans are they fighting?
You're not familiar with the Gnome Titan?
No, the War of whatever. No, the Third Age. No, I don't recall.
That'd be a good module too. Gnomes against the Titans.
Gnomes versus Titans. Clash of the Titans. Gnomes versus. That's right. And they get -4.
That's right. Things are looking good.
When I think a 6-level fighter, he's got 18 strength versus a Titan.
Hey, I just got back from hell, man.
That's right.
Haven't you heard of me?
I defeated a kobold god.
To hell and back.
That's right. Titans are nothing. That's the one that doesn't make sense. Again, the other ones they fight because it's much larger creatures. So why wouldn't the Etten or everything else? I don't know. That's the only one I have a little weirdness
It
about.
doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Okay.
So the most important thing.
They know lots of languages.
They know lots of languages.
So they know Dwarvish.
Yeah.
Right? Gnomish, of course.
Yep.
Common, of course. Halfling. And then they know Goblin and Kobold. So that's interesting. Those are the ones they hate. So
it's like the British learn French.
I think that's right. You got to know the language of your enemy.
Right.
Just because if you ever encounter some goblins, in order to increase your chance of killing them, you want to be able to understand what they're saying, right? Listen to what they're doing. Right. So do we agree that's why they know Common and Go? They're taught that. Know the language of your enemy.
They know what Briark is.
And right.
They would not know that's
Briark. They know Briark.
Right. They would not know they know what Briark stands for.
And they know Titan.
And I don't think they know Titan. That would be amazing if they knew Titan.
They better learn it.
So now let's talk about what makes gnomes special.
Right. They can communicate with any burrowing animal.
Any burrowing animal.
Then, of course, always comes up, we should have a segment.
It's not burrowing animal, it's mammal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do things burrow that are not mammals?
Boulette, ankeg.
Oh, okay. An ankeg is not. Oh, it's an insect.
It's like a.
What is a mammal?
Really?
Yes. It breathes.
It has mammalian qualities to it. That's the most scientific way I can say. Mammaries.
All right.
It's a breastfed baby, and it's live birth, if I remember correctly.
Thank you.
Sounds about right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Sorry, there you go.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance. My researcher here doesn't have to look that up, but that's what mammal is, as opposed to an insect, which leeches out. But there's lots of burrowing things. A Zorn, Umberhulk, they all burrow and dig.
Okay.
So, which would be amazing. Now, if they could do that, I would be gnomes all the time. Come here, Ankeg. Come here, Ankeg.
Can I talk to you? Yeah, that'll go well. I'd like to speak with you, Ankeg.
Purple worm.
Yes,
purple worm.
worm.
Oh, yeah.
Can I have a word with you, sir? My good man.
Yeah, there's so many things that would be awesome.
Okay, so they can speak to any burrowing mammal.
Mammal, right? And they give examples.
Right. So then they give examples.
Yes, moles, badgers, ground squirrels, etc.
Right, and then of course the question becomes: is a giant rat a burrowing mammal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is the question.
Oh.
And I've appreciated when you've allowed that to be yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be you can't be chintzy on the burrowing animal thing, can you?
Well, the thing is, their burrows honeycomb many graveyards under rat.
So they burrow. There's burrows.
So if they have burrows, they would have to burrowing.
Right.
So
unless they're using unless they're squatting.
Well,
using somebody else's burrow. Get out of here, mole. This is my burrow. They're bullies. They're bullies.
They could be, but I would say they are burrowers. So.
And they're mammals.
And there are mammals.
Are they?
Yes, rats are still mammals.
So they suckle.
Yes, correct. I guess
they're adorable.
And now we make the video of the giant rat.
Suckling.
What's the maternal rat taking care of the brute and now causing disease on the human that came by.
That's when we turn into NPR. And today we talk about
Fresh Talk.
Fresh Talk. We'll talk about suckling and the giant rat.
Suckling rats here on Fresh Air. Welcome.
James is an expert. You've been studying.
Mammalogists of the highest order. Cambridge, Oxford, Tampa.
All those brains of yours, you've decided to solve world hunger.
That's right.
No,
mammaries. Thank you.
Of the giant rat.
Of the giant rat. I've spent 25 years purveying them, searching for them, for the ultimate rat.
And then I finally got my PhD.
That's right.
25 years later.
I'm on the tenure track.
But I couldn't find a job teaching
no one cares
about giant.
No one cares about rats.
I should have gone to law school.
That's right. Well,
my mother was right.
She was right. She hated me. Anyway.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, all right, burrowing animals. Okay, so let's talk. So the first thing, I think if you've got a gnome in your party, the DM right off the bat has to be aware of this.
Right.
This is significant.
Correct.
Because they need to be aware that the player character is always going to be saying, is there a burrowing animal in the area? So you need to be ready to go.
Right, like that locate animal, you better have the frequency.
Right. You don't want to be like a deer in headlights with is there a burrowing animal. You want to have a list of burrowing animals in the area.
In your area, in your milieu.
If you have a monster in your adventure, it arguably could be a burrowing animal. You want to figure it out in advance.
Right.
So that way everyone's not Googling where they're having debate over where they burrow. And I guess the next thing then is, so how would you do that? So I'm in a forest, and I say, hey, is there any burrowing animals? How would you handle that question?
I would say absolutely they are. They may not be in calling range. That would be the question. Like ground squirrels, of course. Ground squirrels are everywhere.
Okay, so I'm probably going to be able to find a ground squirrel. So
I would say they're common. I would roll 50%, just like the locate animal, 40%, at any one time.
All right. So
that they're in calling distance. Because I don't know what a calling of whatever the gnome is doing, some kind of guttural click sound that he's going to try to emanate.
Oh, that's true.
He's calling out to them like a duck call.
I had like a dolphin sound.
Yeah.
That's true.
Whatever it's clicking sound,
Okay, so let's get to what you want to get to because you're very upset about this.
It sounds like that or something. I don't know what it sounds like. Yeah.
So what does
a squirrel sound like?
What is the level of Okay, a squirrel.
Communicate.
What's a squirrel's intelligence? Now there are squirrels, and I think Monster Manual 2 has squirrel.
Well, yes, I.
Well, it's going to be animal, obviously, right?
I chastised Monster Manual 2. I didn't know why we needed a stat block for.
See, I like that. We disagree on just about everything. If you don't like it, it's a zero-sum game with us. What you don't like, I like, and vice versa. Like, I like that. I'm like, that's the only good part of the thing is that they had a squirrel.
An ordinary common squirrel. I need to know the frequency.
You don't need to know frequency.
Armor class.
Yes, I'll tell you why. Because I had a druid as a player in a pre-gen, and obviously the druid is going to need to have an animal, right? So, Rob, one of our listeners, pointed that out. I had a druid without an animal. He's like, look, the reality is the druid is going to have animal friendship. They're going to have an animal with them. So the next time I had an animal, and I picked a squirrel, there were the stats. That's used. Do I need a steroper, or do I need a squirrel? I need a squirrel.
Well, here's the other problem that I have with this. They're overpowered.
They're overpowered?
Yeah, overpowered. Number attacks 1.
It's a squirrel.
And it does 1 hit point. 1 hit point.
The squirrel is not your cannon fodder. It's not your regular. You're not sending the squirrel's not like
1 hit point's tremendous. If you have 6 squirrels and they all attack a poor human, look, reality says
it's too much.
It's too much.
And is there half hit points and quarter hit points in there somewhere?
I don't know, but the point is, if 6 squirrels attack the human, they could take out a 0-level peasant. You don't see that running around where they're assaulting. Oh my God! It's a ground squirrel. Look out!
I bet you that can happen. If they were aggressive enough, 6 squirrels could take out a small person.
Yeah, common gray or red squirrels will only bite in self-defense, but now the druid is compelling them to assault people. Right? Back to the eco-terrorists.
Whoa! Why is the druid compelling? How does the druid? Okay, I'm a squirrel and you're a druid. Okay, and I'm your friend.
Friendship. Those humans, those farmers are cutting the trees down. Assault them.
No.
Defend the forest.
No.
Animal friendship.
You're
my friend.
So, if you tell me to kill somebody, I'm your friend. If you told me to kill somebody...
Help the forest.
No, I don't see it. Okay, I disagree. See, I think it's not like, so what's the spell? Like, so...
Charm animal?
Charm person, right, charm animal, charm person. I'm not charmed. I'm just your friend. I'm not going to do... I'm going to try to help you out and be a good guy. I mean, my friend, it's sort of like if you asked me. Mm-hmm. So, I think we're kind of friendly.
We're T. We're T on the chart.
So if you asked me to drive you to the airport,
we were good. Now we're closer to T. But
to help you move, I'd be like, man, I'm sorry, I got something happen that weekend. I'm not going to help you move. So there's levels, right? There's clearly levels of friendship. The squirrel's not going to do anything. The squirrel is not.
He's been trained. You can teach him tricks.
Attack is not
typical.
Assault somebody isn't a trick.
That are taught to a dog. You can teach an attack dog, right? A dog is not normally an attack dog. You teach it how to become an attack dog.
But would a dog?
You take Lassie and you make him a vicious killer. Animal friendship. It will follow that the druid about, and she can teach 3 specific tricks or tasks for each point of intelligence it possesses. Typical tasks are taught of a dog or similar pet. They cannot be complex. It's not complex. Kill.
Do you think...
And all of a sudden,
Aren't they thinking more like roll over and fetch?
and then 6 squirrels assault the poor peasant farmer. They have almost, let's say, AC 10. They're less than 1 hit dice. They almost have a 50% chance to hit, and they do 1 point. They will slaughter. That's going to be the adventure. That's the next adventure. The psycho druid sends the squirrels in and wipes out a village.
And I don't know why I talked about half a hit point, because you can't do half a hit point of damage. So right, it's 1. But so
they should do 0 hit points. But the point is, they're overpowered.
They're poking your eye out. One's on your face. If 6 squirrels attacked you, I'm telling you, that's not going to be pretty. I'm
going to survive it, though, unless it has rabies.
No, because eventually it's going to cut an artery. It's going to cut your neck.
David Thompson says that he's the Archduke, right?
Yes.
He says, Animal Summoning 3, you can summon 16 squirrels.
Right. That's what I would do. Now, forget about the dinosaur. I'm doing 16 squirrels. I'm assaulting you with 16 hit points of pain.
So do you know what you just done? You took the animal summoning spell, which you were saying was terrible, and you've now just shown how it's awesome.
Well, that would be this is another incomprehensible death. I'm walking in the forest.
That's what I would do. That's right.
I'm walking in the forest. All I see are squirrels. Like, oh, there's nothing in here, and I get killed by a squirrel.
You're feeding them, and like out from behind a tree pops a druid, and he's like, attack!
Kill. Yeah,
and there's a gnome laughing. His gnome buddy's laughing. It's hilarious.
Right. And yeah, as they feed on your carcass, the squirrels are talking to the gnome, going, "Ooh, this human's good." His blood spurting out.
Because right before that,
this is a horror show.
Right before that happened, you said, "Why you're so plump, gnomes? Why are you so plump?"
Feeding on the carcasses of the squirrel is so. Yeah, this is disgusting.
Let's talk about what level of communication you can have now. Okay. So
how about kill? Can they communicate?
Okay, but so it's not animal friendship. Right. Animal friendship is the spell.
I agree. They're not charmed by the gnome.
And they're not even necessarily your friend.
That's true.
Like,
but they're
who are
neutral.
You, gnome? You could be like a gnome assassin.
You'd have to roll your, you're a
reaction roll.
You have to roll a reaction
roll. So what you're telling me is your charisma affects your ability with a squirrel?
Now this is where if we went back to last week where you had, remember we said if you have a low charisma, the only thing you could be is a gnome assassin. The lowest thing you could be is... the
5 or below charisma it makes you an assassin?
Right.
Because if you're 5 or below on any of your attributes, don't you have to be something?
Right, yeah.
And so the 5 or below...
has to be an assassin. So if you have a gnome, the lowest charisma is 3, so you could be a gnome assassin. And then you cut yourself up to make yourself... Is that the Grog line? Is that the Grog line?
Hold on, we hear something.
Who's that?
Well, sometimes it just makes noises now. I got a new phone.
Oh, you got a new phone? Congratulations. I see your pen.
What's wrong with you?
Here's, type this down.
I did get a new phone.
Why is it making sounds?
It appears to be nothing.
Okay. You get an email?
Someone's going to be out of the office next week.
That's great. Great compelling thing. Yes. So a gnome assassin, he'd cut himself up, get to horror level, and terrify the squirrels.
Wait, he cut himself up?
Yeah, remember we talked about how if you had injured heart. Do you remember anything?
No. Wait a second. If your scores go below after your initial rolls, you're not forced to be something else though.
No. My point is he's an assassin.
Right.
Because he only has, let's say, 3 charisma.
Right. 3 charisma.
He decides he's going for the horror thing, which Rob Ritchie mentioned. Right. That if you get he starts cutting himself and he becomes maniacal. He becomes -1. Then you terrify. You get instantly attacked or terrify 1 hit dice creatures. He goes to the forest. He summons the squirrels. They're terrified in fear of him, and he uses them as a mammalian army of death.
Wait, how does he summon the squirrels?
By calling out to them.
Oh.
Whatever he says. And the squirrels come out, and then they're horrified from him. We're talking about the reaction.
Right. So they would be, because you would do a roll.
Right.
So what you think...
And they instantly attack, and then the gnome gets killed. If either he becomes an army of squirrel attackers, or they kill him.
Can he turn them, like in Evil
Cleric,
and they follow him?
I don't think he can turn them.
Maybe they're undead squirrels. Monster Manual 2, that's another good entry. Don't they have undead?
They have undead animals.
Animals, like skeleton animals?
And squirrels, yeah. And then
that's good.
So this is where it would be nice if you could be a cleric.
Why does
wait a minute. A cleric, assassin, gnome, NPC.
Cleric, assassin,
undead gnome.
Gnome who's
summons...
disfigured them. So you disfigured because when you disfigure, you lose.
Right.
With a -1 charisma.
If you get to -1, you can do horror.
And then you attract undead animals.
Undead animals, or you make undead animals. You raise.
Can you be an anti-druid?
That'd be awesome. There's so many. There's so much here. There's so much here.
So you think that a burrowing animal
is neutral.
So you have to do a. No, I agree with that, but you have to do a reaction roll. So if I see a squirrel, so what you're saying is what I should have done is had a reaction roll, and so your charisma affects.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, charisma is this I've obviously can communicate with the squirrel. My charisma, I have the same charisma that I do with other things.
Right.
It's somewhat. It's obviously intelligent enough to communicate. So I have a mannerism that my reaction or negative should be applied to that.
Okay. So the gnome really should be, if you're going to be a gnome, the takeaway is you should have a high charisma.
Right. Because I would argue, if you could potentially befriend one positive, right? If you get let's say a 95 on a score.
Sure, that'd be everybody, yeah.
Basically, I'd be going around the forest trying to talk to all of them, and bringing nuts and berries, so I could have a squirrel to come with.
Would you let me start with one? Because
I would.
The Monster Manual says that there's badgers,
right? And
giant badgers.
John graciously gave my Winkly Pew a prairie dog, because I gave a backstory that we were out in the plains and I was talking to prairie dogs, and I got a prairie dog.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I communicate to prairie animals.
I was going to have a gnome. I rolled up a gnome. It was going to be my character when I was going to play.
Of course. That's like saying you always roll up a gnome character.
And he has have a ferret named Bubbles.
That's great.
And
is that a burrowing animal?
Confirmation.
Yeah, I looked it up. Wolverines.
Rats are burrowing animals and mammals.
That's very good. Thanks.
So they're both.
This is why we crowdsource some of this stuff, so we don't get this situation.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and Wolverines. 10%. 80% are like to have a tamed animal to serve as guards. 70% are badgers. 20% giant badgers. Which is, are they bigger than the gnome?
Yeah, they're pretty big.
I hope there's not a revolt. And then Wolverines.
Well, dwarves have bears in there.
Right.
Yeah. So you could, and this is where again, prairie dog, squirrel, great. I think he let me have 3 tricks, and one of them is take. It's not attack. No, it's not attack. Unfortunately, he's got 1 hit point, but I don't think he does any damage. That's the part with the squirrel that I had to.
But I think they can be very useful.
Sure.
To do scouting missions.
Exactly.
Right, to go and take a look around, come back.
If you can communicate with him, go out, go look, come back. What do you see?
So what you see is basically the equivalent. You're trying to backdoor an animal friendship spell. You're a gnome. You're going to look for a burrowing animal. You want a reaction roll. You're going to keep doing it enough times. Right. You've been attacked several times.
you've been bloodied and mauled by a bunch of...
but you should have seen the squirrel.
Right.
And then eventually you roll. What do you want? Roll low? I think you want to roll low.
Roll high.
High.
Yeah, you want to roll high.
You get a 0-0.
Yeah, you get the double ot.
And so he's your buddy.
He's your buddy now.
And you feed him.
You feed him, and he becomes your buddy.
Which is why somebody mentioned this, and this is a good idea. When you're a gnome, you should always bring around like some cat food. To feed to the animals. Yeah, because it helps, right?
Or
because
trail
it helps
mix
attract
or
the
something
trail
like that,
mix. Something that
you're the creepy guy in the park with candy.
Right.
You're just going around and come here, little squirrel.
Right.
You're trying to befriend
You're the gnome in the white van.
You're grooming them, basically.
Right. Okay, you're in the white
96 or above, the white van. Enthusiastically friendly, immediate acceptance. That's what you're looking for.
Okay. Friendly. So they are your friend.
Or friendly, immediate action. Either one is good.
Okay.
Now, they don't have to stay that way the whole time. Obviously, if you send them into... I would say at that point, they would have to train with them, and that you would not have the situation like, poor, what was your name of the ferret? Whatever your name was.
Bubbles.
If Bubbles got whacked, and you got Bubbles the second, it's not going to be the next day you ingratiate yourself with Bubbles, and he does the same thing that the first Bubbles did.
Yeah, and I think dogs are different than
You're a specious.
A squirrel. Yeah, so are you? If you tell the squirrel to attack, I don't know if you can train to attack something much larger. I mean, they're not stupid.
Dogs attack things that are much larger.
Well, squirrels aren't stupid.
So dogs are stupid?
If they're attacking something much larger.
Well, they're semi. Dogs are semi.
Dogs are above animal?
Dogs are semi.
Not animal.
Apparently not.
Rats are semi too.
Rats are semi? Mm-hmm. I wonder what ants are. Ants are not mammals, though. Is that right? I can't have a giant ant. I can't have a giant ant.
No, you can't.
I'm pretty sure they suckle.
No, I don't think they do.
I think I saw that once on National Geographic.
They have low. Oh no, I'm sorry. They have animal. Yeah.
Okay.
What about
they have animal.
What about squirrel?
So you are. Oh, so semi's pretty good. So you want a burrowing animal that's semi. So you really do want a rat. Oh, like scabbards or whatever it is, right? Scabbards, was that on Harry Potter?
Yeah, it's animal. But or you could get a giant black rare squirrel. Of course, they're evil, and they're 1+1 hit dice.
Oh, so you could be an evil gnome.
Right.
You worship that deity, that mole deity, and you have a giant black rat
Right.
as your friend.
I like that. That
And
sounds
your
awesome.
assassin. Well, that's what the assassin will have, don't you think? A
Right.
giant black squirrel.
Urldin, the
Right.
crawler
That's
below.
you worship your assassin, and you've got
A giant black squirrel.
right.
And they're evil dark forest. They're malicious and will attack weak or helpless creatures.
Yeah.
So
you don't
really,
have to trade them.
yeah, the only difference between the squirrel and the giant black squirrel is the black squirrel is woke. It realizes its mission is to murder other
Right.
people in the forest. The other
Right.
squirrels are docile. So you could have, and that's the giant squirrel would talk to the other squirrels and tell them, be free from your bondage of being nut gatherers and assault.
Yeah, what's
humans.
wrong with you?
Right. Why are you doing that?
Follow me.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Let's take down that.
Have we helped anyone
Water
with this
buffalo.
gnome thing? Have we helped with gnomes? Have we? What's your thought about gnomes?
okay.
Has anything changed about gnomes?
Well, before we leave burrowing animals,
Okay.
what's the level of communication going on? Because I think the players, of course, wanted to be like, "Hey, squirrel,
Right.
where's the dungeon? Whatever."
Yeah.
But
how many ogres have you seen?
Right, but if you have animal intelligence, I mean,
Yeah, I
do
would
animals
say
talk like that? Animals aren't. It's very limited.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
you'd be able to communicate. Cold, hot, where's water, things that food, scary, where's show me scary creatures like us, yes, no, something like that. It would have to be very
Okay, very limited.
Okay.
Okay.
They're not going to have a Descartesian conversation of the duality of man with them.
Well, my opinion has not changed on gnomes. I think I love gnomes.
Yes.
I think gnomes are great.
He's showing the cup again.
Right. And I think that I think the fact that your DM might hate gnomes is all the more entertaining to people who want to play gnomes.
Well, it's not just the DM. The party dislikes them
and that just makes people who play gnomes, that just makes them happier, because the gnomes love that fact that they're annoying everyone else.
And one thing, while again players can be whatever alignment, I think if you were trying to play them as type, at least described here, they shouldn't be chaotic in nature.
No.
But that's what people do. Trickster becomes this chaotic neutral thing, which again, back to, they play practical jokes, but they're in line with their ethos with it.
Yeah, because the practical joke is more in the micro as opposed to the macro.
Right.
I mean,
they're not just going off in random things of craziness. You're right.
I like practical jokes. Oh, you're an anarchist? Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. All right. I think that's enough of that. We're ready. We are now ready for our suggestion.
Okay. Who's going first?
I will go first. So my suggestion is, when I'm not watching reruns of our podcast on YouTube, which is frequently, because we want to make sure our views are as high as possible, I've been binge watching this YouTube called Dungeon Craft. He's a relatively new YouTuber. Apparently he wrote for Dungeon Magazine at some point, his claim to fame. And
Dungeon Magazine? I've never heard.
Yes, you have. It was from when did it come out? 1988. You wouldn't have heard them.
Exactly.
You're sorry.
Exactly.
I apologize. There was a magazine after you fell asleep in the dark time, and had dungeons in them. And so, good take on it. And he helps. And what I do like about it, if you're interested in modeling and building miniatures, he's done a lot of cool things about how to speed paint, create things. Also has a very gritty, old school way. Even though he's using the newer versions, he has an old school mentality. So, for instance, his first, the way people create characters, you roll 3 characters at once, 3d6. You can arrange them, but that's 3d6. And the first adventure is basically all these 18 players. Let's say you have 5 players. There's 15 characters. They have no weapons. They're 0 level. And the first adventure is any of those who survive become first level. So it's literally first edition, and you have nothing. Yeah, you call. So then the idea is, there's a trap door. You have 3 characters. Send the one you don't care about, and that makes it epic. So there's a survival thing, and if they survive the thing, So it's a good take on, we like not just first edition because it's nostalgic, but we like the style of play that it has, which is the characters developed during the game, not with a huge backstory. And so here it kind of squares the circle of your farmers, your peasants, you came out of the town, you're trapped in a dungeon, the goblins have captured you or whatever the thing is. You escape, those who escape, now they start doing the thing. So very entertaining, does a very good job. So Dungeon Craft is, and if you're interested in building things, he makes it pretty easy.
Okay, and
I hope you fail your save.
That sounds like a great suggestion, and I'm going to actually change my suggestion based on your suggestion.
Okay, this is why I go first.
Exactly, because I'm going to recommend an adventure called Treasure Hunt.
Treasure Hunt.
Are you familiar with Treasure
No,
Hunt?
I'm not.
You start at level 0, so it was a module where you start at level 0, and so it reminded me. Your suggestion reminded me of it because I thought it was a great idea. You start at level 0. You don't know what class you're going to be. And based upon the way you act during the adventure is going to dictate what class you're going to become. So I haven't run it, so I'm always hesitant to recommend an adventure that I haven't run because I really think the way to know how good an adventure is to actually run it. But I've read through it, and it sounds quite interesting and quite good. And I thought, certainly at the time, I think it was a novel idea.
Where can you find it?
Well, I don't know if Drive-Thru RPG has it online or not. I want to say it's N1. I can't remember.
It's not N1.
Oh, what's N1?
Curse of
N4 or something, level 0, says David Thompson.
Ah, there you go.
N4. Okay.
Thank you, the Chamberlain.
Yeah.
His August Potency Archduke, the Shrewd Guardian of Australia.
Is he a Chamberlain or Archduke?
He's both. He's the Chamberlain. His August Potency Archduke, the Shrewd Guardian. He's the Archduke of Australia, but he's also a Chamberlain. He's basically the defender of the House of Thompson.
Don't ask too many questions about the titles.
Yeah.
So I thought that it would be a great way to start a campaign.
So
with N4.
So it's N4, we think. Okay, thank you, David. Great. So I think we've jibber jabbered enough. We have to work on our module because we got 2. What do we have? 3 weeks before?
I think it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes, 2 weeks before that. So we got to work on that. So again, we're on YouTube. We're at Twitter at GROGTALK. Our website is grogcon.com, where we have all the latest information. We're on Google Play. We're on iTunes. We're on iHeartRadio. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to be alert, we have to do that. Hold on. So please like and subscribe. Again, we do this because we have a lot of fun. We're very thankful for the folks who are listening and really participating, and it's been a lot of fun. So if you find it interesting, please go on.
And I think what our goal should be for subscribers on YouTube? 61.
61. Very good. I think it's a good goal. I think we could make that. All right, so we're rolling D10.
To see how what do you think? So maybe Nico, on 1 to 10, what do you think this episode was? I mean,
10 being the best, 1 being we should know.
We're going to find out for real, but so it's just the prediction.
7.
Do we get a modifier? Do we get a modifier?
You know what's bad about it is since you know that he was being kind,
right.
You have to probably subtract 4. You probably really thought it was a 3. 3.5, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought it was 5.78. It's average fare for us.
Yeah.
I like this format. I appreciate Nico. Again, thank you for...
Nico definitely added a couple points. I'm going to give us a 4.
Okay.
We were at 2 without Nico.
All right.
Thank God he was here.
Let's roll.
Let's find out. Is this? Do I have that right?
Yeah, it's a 10 side.
It's a 6.
6. There you go. Above average.
All right.
Congratulations. Yes.
Okay.
Very nice. So we rolled the 6. So finally, if you have pictures or future items or guests, again, our fair friend from Sweden suggested some sessions or podcasts for us. So we need to add that to the mix. I think we still have halflings, we have half orcs, and then we'll have to decide if we're going to do ones from the book that shall be not named, because there's other player character races you have. We'll have to talk about that.
I noticed we didn't talk about the